A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Yes, it's the Goldbergs. You know, I bet your whole family will have something to say when you change to new Does on wash day. Sure, this is what you'll probably hear from Dad.
Gee, honey, that new soap certainly gets my shirt sparkling white.
And Junior will listen to him.
Say, Mom, that new Does must be great stuff. You never fuss at how dirty you get my overalls anymore.
And Daughter, well, she'll have something to say, too.
You know, Mother, I don't mind putting my rayon undies in the regular wash anymore. They come out so soft and bright now that you're using new Does.
And if you're that mother who's just discovered what a whiz Does is for everything in your wash, then here's what you'll be saying about this new kind of granulated soap.
Say, the way this new Does does all three kinds of wash is wonderful.
Sure it is. Does everything. Grimy overalls, dirty towels, right down to pretty rayon slips.
Yes, and believe me, Does really gets my towels snowy white.
Didn't I tell you, does it show you just how dazzling white your towels and linens could be?
That's right. Honestly, I've never seen whiter washes than I get with Does. And I didn't have to do a bit of hard scrubbing, and no boiling either.
Of course not. No soap made gets clothes clean easier than you Does. Yet remember, Does is far safer for the pretty colors in your rayon slips than any other leading granulated laundry soap.
Well, it sure beats all. You know, I had to try Does before I could believe this new soap really was so different.
Well, remember, it's a new kind of granulated soap, not just a new improvement of an old soap. So, ladies, just ask for Does, D-U-Z, today in that big red and white box. Does everything in your wash. And now, the Goldbergs. Well, yesterday, Molly's hopes for Oriane rose and fell like a thermometer, but at the end, the temperature was freezing with no hope in sight. Dr. Chris Cater seems to have made up his mind definitely about Oriane, and his decision appears to be an unqualified no. Well, for Molly, this is a romantic disaster. But Jake accepted it, since he thinks it's just what Oriane deserves for playing hot and cold with the young doctor. But today, Jake gets a surprise.
It's such a cold. I'll get you something. Can you take the telephone?
Why can't I? Hello?
Hello? Mr. Goldberg?
Yes? Who is it?
This is Dr. Cater.
Christopher?
No, the senior.
How are you?
Oh, fair. Mr. Goldberg, can you manage to come over to my house right away?
Well,
Something we want to talk over with you.
the point is, I have a sniffle.
Oh. Well, in that case, if you could manage to get the women out of the house, I could come over there.
Well, is it so important? Just a minute. It's for me. Hello?
Hello?
All right. Come over. I'll see what I can do.
I'll give you time enough to get the women out of the house.
Do that.
Oh, thanks.
Not at all. But what's the gist of the meeting, what?
Well, it's about...
Thank you. I'll tend to that. Goodbye.
Something important, Jake?
Well, when there's a call for me from the mill, it's not unimportant, is it?
Sure not. Then you get a call from the mill. It's so late in the PM, you should get a call. Certainly it's important. Show me where it hurts you. Didn't you stud your chest, dear?
So what is that? Nothing, Molly.
Why is it nothing when it's something? If you're sniffling and if you're sneezing and if you have a pain on your chest, why do you say it's nothing? I'll put a mustard plaster.
Later, tonight, when I go to bed.
Oh, Jake, darling, why when you go to bed?
Because I have things to do now. You heard me on the telephone.
But, Jake, darling, if you don't feel well...
If I get my work done, I'll feel better. You know my nature.
But, Jake, so if you just...
Molly, you want to do something for me?
Yes.
Go to the movies.
Movies.
Take Oriane and go to the movies.
Oriane. Oriane is just in the mood for movies.
Go. She'll forget herself a little and cry a little.
No, she wouldn't go, Jake, dear. She wouldn't go. She wouldn't go.
If you'll ask her, she'll go. I'll take it. Ask her.
She wouldn't go, Jake. I wouldn't ask her because she wouldn't go.
Hello?
Hello?
Sorry. The figures are still here. And
Oh, well, we'll
thank
wait.
you. I have to get some figures out, Molly, and if
I can help you with the figures.
if you leave me alone, Molly, I'll be able.
Oh, you see that thing there? You see that?
So I'm sneezing, so what?
So what? Sneezing, so what? Would I leave you if I was sneezing, or would you leave me if I was sneezing, huh?
Molly, you know how irritable I can be when I am...
All right, if you're irritable. The figures to get out, so I can help you get out figures. I can't figure 2 and 2 is 4, 4, 4 is 8. I can't figure. I can help with figures. All right. So let's call him if you want to go. So will you take a lemonade when I'll come back, Jake? I don't even know what's playing. What did they have last week? I went also last week. They had a double feature. So I went. I had to do so much home. I had to bake. I had to get everything ready for the month. So I went and I sat myself down for a double feature. So what did I saw? I saw Western, in another Western, in something in between. And when I came in the middle of the first picture, so I had to sit and now nap. I should see the second picture over. So when I went out, I didn't know whether I saw the first picture, if I saw the second picture. So I'll go to the movies. I don't even know what they're playing now. I don't know what they're playing. Okay. Did you read Mr. Ray's letter?
I did.
So tell me, what do you think?
We'll discuss it when I have more time.
All right. So I'll call up the opera house and I'll see what's playing.
And what's the difference?
What's the difference? I just told you what's the difference. If it's a Western, I don't like a Western.
Molly, you'll be late. Hurry before you have to see the picture twice in order to see it once.
Oh, yes. Oh, Seymour?
No.
Come in, Seymour. Come in. Come in, Seymour. Hello, dear.
How come you're not at the party?
I was there for a little
Sit
while.
down, Seymour. Sit
You
down.
want to go to the movies with Mrs. Goldberg?
Oh, there's a terrible picture playing. Don't go. It's just a waste of time.
See that, Jake? It's
Why is it terrible?
Uninteresting.
Why is it uninteresting?
Well, in the face.
Did you see it?
No, but...
So how do you know?
Well, I saw the trailer.
What can you tell from a trailer?
Do you like westerns, Mrs. Goldberg?
Well, there's Western and Western.
Well, this is a bad one.
Why is it that...
If you want to go, Mrs. Goldberg, everybody's taste is individualized. But you better dress warm.
Dress warm? Why?
Well, you better put on warm clothes.
Why?
They can't get the temperature up above 54.
What do you mean?
Well, when they enlarged the place, they forgot to provide extra radiators. So when the temperature outdoors is below, it's cold. It's freezing. Now you must have caught your cold.
Oh, I wouldn't go,
Mrs.
Jake, dear. I wouldn't go. Oh, Jake, I wouldn't go.
Molly, will you please go? When I have work to do, you know, I can't be surrounded by...
But if it's cold in the movies, Jake, dear, why should I go? Oh, wait, dear, I'll get you another hanky. Wait, I'll get another hanky.
Seymour, stop talking how cold it is in the movies. Please.
But
Stop saying what a bad picture it is. And stop saying...
why should I say something
Because it's important that you should. Because it's important that you...
Oh, you want Mrs. Goldberg to go. Oh,
Here, there's a hanky. Here, behold. I didn't know one moving picture house in the village, and it should be cold.
It's not so cold. You can't go by me anyway. I'm anemic. Somebody else would be hot, maybe.
And Molly, Seymour made a mistake.
Yeah?
It's not a Western playing.
Oh, it's not a lesson playing. Well, what then is playing?
It's what you like, Molly. Love.
But I like love. Who don't like love? How do you know it's love playing?
Seymour, how do I know?
Oh, you'll like it because you're romantic.
I'm romantic and I love life. I love love. I'm the only one in the whole universe and in the whole world that likes love. And because I'm romantic, I like it. And you don't like it because you're not romantic.
Seymour is a man.
Thank you.
Get your coat, Molly.
All right.
Call Orion.
All right. I'll take the coat.
I'll take it. Get your coat.
Get your coat, Mrs.
All right.
Goldberg. You love the picture.
All right, I got time.
Hello?
Hello. We're ready to come over.
1 minute.
Hello?
I wouldn't go. What will I do in the movies? What if I got to go to the movies? See what takes my coat. I'm not going to the movies.
Well, of course, Jake will never get Molly out of the house now. But more important than this is what is the important discussion that Dr. Cater wants to have with Jake, which Molly shouldn't know about?
You and I have been friends and neighbors for many years. More years than a woman likes to remember. Me, my family, my friends, day in and day out, we have spoken to each other. And always I try to do and try to say those things, try to speak those ideas and feelings which I thought were right. They were your ideas, and I said them. Because as neighbors, what I believe in most deeply, you do too. That makes us neighbors. Now all these ideas, all the feelings, all the goodness and richness of our neighborly life is threatened. An enemy. A real enemy of my children and yours is in the air, over our heads, on the sea which surrounds our shores, and on land across the sea. Our sons are in the army, or going there, or working to supply the army. What we can do is buy defense bonds, millions of them, millions of defense stands. We can buy and keep buying so that you and I can still be neighbors and free. The word neighbor, the little syllables, they seem so small today, but they're the big things in life right now, because they mean, how shall I say it, they mean the school on the corner, the church, the temple. They mean the post office next to the firehouse, and the little stores where we buy our clothes, our food, and our ice cream sodas. That's what neighbor means. And buying defense bonds and stamps will keep it meaning that, and everything else we love in this world.
The National Broadcasting Company at this time wishes to thank the editors and publishers of Galaxy Magazine for a special award which has just been presented to the program X-1. The award cites X-1 for the outstanding adaptation and the original method of presentation of adult science fiction stories to the vast audience that has shown increasing interest in this newest form of journalism. The NBC Radio Network is proud to receive this citation on behalf of X-1. NBC is also happy to acknowledge the enthusiastic response and support of the listening audience to this program. Your many letters of encouragement and constructive criticism are always gratefully received. Your criticisms carefully noted, and whenever possible, your suggestions acted upon. Please listen at the end of this program for a special free offer. And now, X-1.
Countdown for blast off. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come transcribed tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in a million, could be years, on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company presents X-1. Tonight's story, Protective Mimicry, by Algis Budrys.
Frankly, I think I'll probably have to take my expense account clear up to the Central Gallic Civil Service Board. My friends tell me to forget it. But take it from me, a rap in the credit book like this isn't easy to laugh off. Not on a grade 4 civil service pay scale. So I've made my beef out in quadruplicate and filed it. Usually, a special agent in United Galactic Federation's Department of the Treasury, Investigations Division, Currency Section, doesn't have much trouble with his swindle sheet. But this one's a corker. To understand, you got to know how they make the stuff. The Ungallic Mint is in New Geneva on Canopus 3. I remember I went around with the 40 Deci credit tour when I first joined the staff. The guide was a cute little brunette from one of the Rim stars who was later fired following an annual Pan Solstice office party. I didn't pay much attention to her spiel. She was dressed in the new neo-Minoan style, but I got the general idea.
This is a demonstration machine, of course, but you will notice the indestructible fiber coming off that spool at the right. It goes into the slot in the machine there. Now, if you'll pass along, you see it goes between those two rollers through 6 or 7 chemical baths. No, I'm not sure what chemicals. That's restricted information. It's stamped, analyzed for flaws, dyed, and then run through this unit here. This is the most carefully guarded part of the process. The unit is removed from the plant each night and locked in the deep space vault on the satellite station directly overhead. After the strip emerges here, it is chopped into convenient lengths and carefully removed into armored cars. It is called money.
Well, what does that secret unit do?
Well, that's a very good question. You see, the currency is non-defacable, fireproof, immune to wear, weather, and water. But the most important thing is an electronic pattern impressed into the fiber by that secret pattern. You all know when you cash a bill, it is passed over an electronic plate that reads the pattern. If the serial number and the pattern match, but if they don't, well, first I'll put an ordinary credit note over the beeper. There. Perfectly good. Now, a simulated counterfeit bill without the electronic pattern. Well, now, that wouldn't fool anybody long, would it?
Could anybody duplicate that electronic pattern?
Well, that's a very good question. Only the government has the equipment to put that in. Your currency is safe and sound. Don't you worry about that. Are there any more questions?
Yeah. How about a drink after the tour?
Well, Oh, that's a very good question.
It sure was. So was the answer. Well, getting back to money. The engraving, the chemical composition of the ink and the fiber would be tough enough to duplicate. But that electronic pattern snaps the clincher on it. That's why Chief Inspector Saxgard of my division looked sourly at me when I came into his office and spread a fistful of credit notes on his desk.
What's that?
What's it look like?
A handful of 50s. Why?
Put a couple of them over your beeper plate.
Okay. They're perfectly okay. What's it all about?
Look at the serial numbers.
3, 4, 5, 6, 5, 6, 7, 8, M.
Look at the others.
3, 4, 5, 6, 5... What? Let me see them.
Save your eyes. They're all the same. 14 50-credit notes with identical serial numbers.
That's impossible.
And every one of them goes over a beeper plate, quiet as a sophomore climbing into a dormitory window after hours.
Baumholzer, where did you get these?
They came into the New York Clearinghouse from a branch on Deneb 11. The manager blew his top. He called us the minute he spotted them and sent them out to us.
How about the manager? Is he blabbing all over the Bankers Club about it?
I read the Ungallic Riot Act to him. He'll keep it under his hat.
Good. At least we won't have any financial panics for a while. Have you checked these through the lab?
Well, the ink and paper is government stock, and they match government beepers. The lab plates didn't squawk any more than yours did. Now, you could spend these anywhere as long as you only pass them one at a time.
Baumholzer, you know, since the beeper plate came in, we've been sitting on our tails in this department, building up our pensions.
Oh, I wouldn't say that.
Neither would I outside this office. But you know darn well nobody can expect to counterfeit a bill and get away with it. It's only because throughout the universe there's a certain percentage of people who will try anything once, and a corresponding percentage of purblind idiots who will accept anything with engraving on it as money that we're here at all. Now, I've seen cigar coupons and crayon sketches come into this office. I've seen premium offers from household magazines, jet bus transfers, where some people will try to pick a Yale lock with a quarter pound of butter. Now, the only reason any queer can pass is because some goggle-eyed nudnik neglects to use his beeper plate. But I worry. For 15 years, I've sat in this stinking office and waited for somebody to invent a matter duplicator.
Well, looks like you can stop worrying. Look at those bills, identical down to the whiskey stain in the corner.
All right, Bumholzer. You call transportation and get out to Deneb 11 and find out if anybody in that neighborhood has a matter duplicator, or if he hasn't, what he has got.
I picked up the department shuttle to the satellite and made fair connections up to Deneb 11. It's a 4-day run on drive, and I get free fall 6, so I was glad to hit the port in Glub, which, so help me, is the name of the only city on the place. Deneb 11 is what we call in the department a mud ball. It's a jungle world with an atmosphere like a swatch of Harris tweed. I was smoking a cigarette when I got off the shuttle, and the air I pulled in made the smoke taste like well-decayed leaf mold. I was wringing wet 2 minutes after I left the air-conditioned port. I noticed the local costume would get you arrested on any beach in the galaxy, but it didn't matter since there's nothing titillating about pasty skin dripping with weary perspiration. I checked in with the regional office and found the resident agent tinkering with his air conditioner.
Hi, Baumholzer. You know anything about the sealed power pack on this condenser?
Yeah, if you keep banging at it like that, you'll crack the seal on the atomic shielding, and your posterity will thank you. 3 heads at a time.
Oh, I guess I better not fool with it. Now, take off your pants and pull up a chair.
I don't mind if I do. Is it always this humid?
Oh, no. In the hot season, it's worse. I'd send for a replacement part, but the fax line isn't too reliable. The last time I sent for a sealed unit, they shipped back an overaged sea lion.
Yeah, I know. I was on Polar Station on Ganymede when my heater element broke down. I faxed for 3 feet of element, and they shipped me back 3 fetal elephants.
Yeah. Well, I suppose you're here about the queer bills, huh?
Yeah. Got any lines on it?
Well, my orders will lay off and let the central office handle it. Be my guest.
Any ideas?
No. Where do you figure to start?
Well, this is the only city. I'll have to check it out. Have you got a list of authorized beeper plates?
Somewhere. Let's see here. Oh, look out.
Why?
There's a whittle fly on your arm.
Hey, how does a thing that size get through the filters?
Insects on Deneb are tricky. This one is a non-filterable virus in the larval stage, and it blows up to this size. Carve his initials in your arm if he gets a good bite. That's why it's called a whittle fly.
The whittle fly was only one of the darlings that made the fair city of Glub a garden spot. They had one cute little tyke called the laboratory beetle, because when he bit you, he typed your blood and followed you around for days getting refills. I had one take a sample of me as I went out the door of the residency with a list of beeper plates, and he followed me from store to store while I checked every installation in the city. The little devil would step up to the bar every once and again and take another shot of my hemoglobin. I even tried ducking into men's rooms fast, but he'd be waiting for me when I came out. Well, I slogged through Glub for 3 days and then poured myself back into the residence office. Did he come in?
Who?
The laboratory beetle.
No, they usually hang around in the hall and wait. Sometimes when I've got a poker game going, you can see 3 or 4 of the little angels buzzing around outside waiting like chauffeurs outside the opera.
Wow.
You draw a blank?
Well, I found 7 defective beeper plates, but nobody remembers any queer bills being passed. You know, who checks serial numbers? They must have come in one at a time. And the clerks at the bank always were out to lunch and referred me to the next guy. You got any lotion for insect bites?
Desk drawer.
In a way, the beeper plates make it tougher. Nobody even looks at the bills anymore. Just throw them over the plate, and if no bells ring, it's okay.
Well, how about the other angle?
Matter duplicator? I checked invoices and purchase records. Nobody's been buying electronic parts that can't account for every tube. I thought I had something. One fellow bought 12 of those giant lithium cathode tubes, but it turned out his wife was having them wired as lamp bases. Well, I better be going. I hate to keep my little insect friend out there in suspense as to cocktail time.
You got another lead?
Yeah, I found a bar that makes a Tom Collins with real lemon juice instead of battery acid. I managed to duck my lab beetle in a revolving door. He went around twice and shot out into the street, so I settled down at a table at the bar and tried to make believe that I couldn't taste Deneb 11 atmosphere in my Tom Collins. I was chewing on an ice cube when I looked up.
Mr. Baumholzer?
That's right.
I want to talk to you about money.
He was a terrestrial, but he'd been on Deneb a long time because he was wearing the native garment about the size of a 5-pound sugar sack. His hair, which was potato field gray, was arranged in the old-fashioned Presley style. You know, the ancient long sideburns, duck's tail in the rear that vice presidents wear in family-style banks. His ears had little bits of bone stuck in them, and his eyebrows wandered all over his face, and he stood about 6'8". And I waited him out, and presently he spoke up again.
You are the same Mr. Baumholzer who's been going around asking all those questions about duplicate ungallic notes?
That's right. Can I help you, Mr.
Munger, Duodecimus Munger.
Now, this bids fair to be fascinating. I was under the impression that my mission here was just a wee bit on the secret side.
There are no secrets in gloves.
Now, won't you pull up a chair, Mr. Munger?
I'm afraid I haven't time.
Well, join me in a drink.
Are you really the Mr. Baumholzer that's working on this case for the Treasury Department?
Yeah, sure. Hey, you're not the fellow that's turning out these duplicates, are you?
Well, as a matter of fact, I am.
What?
And don't move. This is a Power 30 Mistral coagulator I have.
Look out with that thing. You've got it pointed at my head.
Yes, I've got it set on high charge. It will fuse your brain solid.
Well, what else is new?
Now, Mr. Baumholzer, stay right behind that table.
Now, let's not make any rash decisions now.
Well, I can't very well see how I could let you live.
Oh, come on. Try. All right, now drop the gun.
I'm afraid we'll be collecting a crowd.
Give me that. Don't try to pick it up.
I won't. I had something completely different in mind.
Just like in those ancient legends the archaeologists keep digging up, the ones with the hard-boiled detective and the beautiful blonde, I felt the traditional roof fall in on the back of my head. As I went black, I remember thinking how odd it was that it was happening to me some 500 years after Spillane the Scrivener. I came to in the same archaic fashion with my head going around in a free orbit around my neck.
Baumholzer, are you all right?
I can't see. I'm blind. Everything's black.
Well, open your eyes.
Oh. Where is he?
Who?
The guy who slugged me. What am I doing back at your office?
Oh, some bartender brought you in. I thought you passed out from too much lemon juice.
There's a guy named Munger. Which way did he go?
Beach me. Munger? Tall fella in native dress?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you might as well forget about it.
Why?
Well, I can order a pickup on him next time he's in town. They'll sock him away in a psycho ward for a while. Forget it.
Look, I am not an old lady calling up complaining that the nasty delinquents are teasing my cats. That Munger's tied in with the queer.
Him?
He said he was the passer.
Well, that can't be. Munger.
You got a file on him?
Yeah. I get a number of complaints on him, so do the local cops. Well, I didn't want to make trouble. He's a very wealthy man.
I'll bet. What does he do?
Well, he's a merchant or something at a native village. Once or twice a year he comes out and paints the town, but a counterfeiter?
I would like to talk to him again with the Mistral in my hand.
He had a Mistral? Well, that's a violation of a municipal ordinance. You're supposed to check him at the quarantine.
Look, I'm not investigating parking tickets and violations of the anti-noise laws. This is a counterfeiting case. Now, do you know where I can find him?
Well, he's probably gone back to his village.
Where's that?
Out in the jungle.
All right, get out your rubbers, friend. We're going out after him. Suppose you fill your bathtub full of mud, build a fire under it, turn on the shower, and crawl in and wallow a little. Do that, and you've got a fair idea of the Denebian jungle. I went out with Hall, the resident agent, and we started off.
Stick close, Baumholzer. Visibility is about 10 feet.
I'll eat everything I can see within 10 feet. Ow!
What happened?
I walked into a tree. Help me up out of the mud. We puddled on for a couple of hours. The rain was so thick I didn't see the trees until I bounced off of them and sat down in the warm mud. I reflected as I struggled to my feet what a terrible waste. In the beauty salons of Charles of the Ritz Asteroid, ladies from all over the galaxy paid thousands of credits for hot mud baths to take the wrinkles out and make their skin smooth and caressable. And here was I getting a much more thorough treatment every time I sat down. They issue a lot of special equipment from department stores, and it all functioned perfectly. My neo-latex galoshes were fine, but stuck in the mud. My Minipower goggles and wipers kept my eyes clear, but they didn't keep me from crashing into every tree. My leak-proof sportsman's flashlight stayed dry as a bone, but powerful as it was, it couldn't light up more than 3 feet in the pelting rain. Paul, the resident, led the way, consulting a compass and a waterproof map, and finally we stopped, and I noticed that there wasn't any rain coming down on me.
It's a rain shelter. The natives build them.
Kind of them.
Well, they're on all the trails. If you go more than a day in the rain, you go punchy from water drumming on your hat.
I believe it.
Well, now, don't sit down. You'll sink in.
I don't know. Theoretically, a broader base should keep you from sinking like snowshoes.
Well, also increases the suction.
I'll stand. How far's Munger's village?
Well, either 2 miles or 22. I can't read the map very well.
Hey, wait a minute. Listen.
Well, that's the rain.
No. You hear that squelching? Somebody's coming.
Oh, yeah. From over there.
Natives?
Maybe.
There he comes.
We've got first pick on the shelter. It's a native tradition. First come, first dry.
Yeah, there's somebody out there, all right.
Who's there? Who is it?
A friend of mine, Mr. Baumholzer.
All right, Munger. Where did you come from?
Don't move. I have several friends pointing long spears at your kidney.
Ole!
Shall we go, gentlemen, back to my village? I believe you were looking for it.
Munger was so intent on me that he didn't seem to notice as Hall sidled off into the darkness, and when he did, he set up a desperate cackle. He had a few of his fraternity brothers chase down the trail with spears waving wildly, but they came back murmuring some kind of a Choctaw, which seemed to carry the implication that Hall had gotten away like a big-bottomed turtle.
Well, Mr. Baumholzer, your companion's action has saved your life for a while.
Yeah, he'll bring back a platoon of Marines, and they'll reduce that village to a bullion cube.
We'll just have to hold you as a hostage in case help should arrive.
Thanks.
At any rate, shall we get back to the village?
He had about 10 natives with him, each one about 7 foot tall, with those big, flat feet that evolved on Deneb for walking in primordial ooze. They were dressed in the standard native loincloth with matching accessories, namely 10-foot spears. When, as we started out along the trail, I got a good look at Munger's loincloth, it was composed of tastefully arranged 1,000-credit notes. Well, by the time we got back to the village, the rain had stopped. The humidity, of course, was still 120%, and the only difference was that the moisture just loitered around rather than actually falling. There was some kind of a clam bake going on in the village. The natives were pounding a couple of drums, and as far as I could see, getting rapidly stinko on some kind of jungle juice that they passed around in huge gourds. They were leaping and dancing, and as far as I could tell, doing snappy sayings and fancy patter as I sat on some kind of a low mushroom and tried to ignore the 2 spears that were pressed against my throat. It felt as if a nervous barber was trying to shave me with his razor tied on the end of a 10-foot pole. After a bit, Munger strode up to me with all the dignity of the lord of the jungle, and he waved the spears a foot away, pulled up a mushroom, and sat down.
Actually, that wasn't a native rhythm at all. The original Danubian music is a kind of quiet, flute-like melody, something like Mozart.
That didn't sound very flute-like.
Yes, I know. One of the first terrestrial anthropologists out here to study the Denebs took recordings of their music, and then to be polite, he played them in a few recordings that he'd made on an earlier field trip. Unfortunately, they were from that lost rocket colony on Ceres. Their music was a degenerate ancient form called, I believe, Roland Rock. The Denebs liked it. And they've been doing it ever since.
Well, what's the party?
They're propitiating the tree. I don't know why. It's never failed yet. But they're very conservative. They've got to go into this act every night before I can do my stuff. Lasts all night. Want a drink?
No, thanks.
Oh, I wish I had a fifth of something civilized. I've been drinking this native swamp water for much too long.
He was right. They kept it up all night, and I sat trying to figure out in which hut Munger kept his machinery to make those duplicate bills. Finally, the weak light that passes for dawn on Deneb came up, and the natives quit hollering.
Let's go, Baumholzer. I hate to keep a man in suspense. You're curious about those duplicate bills. Well, now you're going to find out how it's done.
Well, it's good of you to show me. I suppose your theory is that I'll never live to tell about it.
That's very sensible of you. I like a man who can face facts.
We walked across the mud square to the base of a tremendous tree, which I gathered was the guest of honor for last night's shivaree. I still couldn't see the connection, but I was willing to wait. The natives sat around in a deathly hush, and Munger and I stepped forward.
You notice? Nothing up my sleeves. As a matter of fact, no sleeves.
And not much arm, either.
Now, I take this 50-credit note. Care to examine it?
Oh, I've seen it, and 14 others like it.
Yes, I only use a 1,000-credit bill when the natives need new loincloths. These 50s are a lot easier to dispose of.
Oh, I don't know. I traced them to you.
But that was a mistake. One of my contacts got a little greedy, spent too many bills in one place. All right. Now, I used to have the natives make a loud noise, but I'll use your gun instead here. You see, I take this bill, fold it, so, and so, and so. And there.
What are you making a paper plane for?
Just watch. I raise the note in one hand, I aim at the tree, and I fire your gun up in the air. Like this.
As he let fly with my gun, Munger sailed the paper airplane straight at the tree, and it sailed right into the foliage.
Now watch.
The bill came sailing back out of the leaves, and right behind it came another one. And then the air was filled with paper planes. Squadrons, wings, armadas of paper airplanes, each one made up of a folded 50-credit note. They sailed out over the whole village, and Munger set the natives to collecting them and bringing them back.
There you are. There'll be several thousands of them. Look.
Genuine. Absolutely genuine. And I suppose they'd go over a beeper plate without a tinkle.
Startling, isn't it?
Protective mimicry.
Yes, precisely. You know, I discovered this tree 6 years ago while I was attempting to evade the clutches of the law on a confidence rat. I swung an axe at it to blaze a trail, and 50 axes came bouncing back at me.
Well, I never heard of any plant developing mimicry to this extent. I know some plants and animals assume dangerous life forms as a camouflage, but this...
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm not a botanist. All I know is that you scare the tree with a loud noise. You throw something at it, and it duplicates what it thinks is the danger. Well, speaking of danger, it doesn't look as if your colleague is bringing any help. Oh, I'll miss your company. Interesting. You'll be shot with your own gun.
Now, look, Munger.
Don't wriggle. I hate a moving target. What is that?
Looks like the cops, Munger, at the edge of the village.
Home holster, where are you?
We outnumber them.
Olea!
I'll get you anyway.
No.
You can't run away from me. I'll shoot.
I broke for the other side of the square, and just as he shot at me, I tripped over a pot and went flying smack into the tree. Well, that's about it. Here we sit in the spaceport on Deneb 11, and I'm darned if I'll pay our transportation back until I hear that the office is going to okay my expense account. Munger? Oh, he's in jail at New Alcatraz. Once he missed a shot at me, it was all over. After I fell into the tree, he didn't stand a chance against us. That's right. Us. All 168 of me. Right, Ed?
Right.
You have just heard X-1. Here is an important special announcement. In appreciation of bringing adult science fiction to the listening audience through the medium of this program, X-1, Galaxy Magazine wishes to make the following free offer to our listeners. For the first 2,500 who write in requesting it, we will send a sample copy of Galaxy Magazine at absolutely no cost. This is an opportunity to read the finest in adult science fiction, just as you listen to it each week here on X-1. To get your free sample copy of Galaxy, just write a postcard or letter to X-1, NBC, Radio City, New York 20, New York, and ask for your free copy. Be sure to print your name and address plainly on your card or letter. This offer can be made only once, so if you want your own free copy of this leading science fiction publication, be sure to write without delay. Here is the address again. Write to X-1, NBC, Radio City, New York 20, New York. Your sample copy of Galaxy will be sent to you without obligation of any kind.
Tonight, by transcription, X-1 has brought you Protective Mimicry, written by Algis Burgess, and adapted for radio by Ernest Kanoy. Featured in tonight's cast were Mandel Kramer, Terry Keane, Charles Penman, Dick Hamilton, and Wendell Holmes. This is Roger Tuttle. X-1 was directed by Daniel Sutter and is an NBC Radio Network production.
Remember, for your free sample copy of Galaxy, just send a postcard to X-1, NBC Radio City, New York 20, New York. Now be sure to print your name and address plainly on your card. This offer can be made only once, so if you want your own free copy of this leading science fiction publication, be sure to write without delay. The address again, X-1, NBC, Radio City, New York 20, New York. The Roaring Twenties in song and story. Hear Gordon MacRae in The Best Things in Life Are Free tonight.
The National Broadcasting Company at this time wishes to thank the editors and publishers of Galaxy Magazine for a special award which has just been presented to the program X-1. The award cites X-1 for the outstanding adaptation and the original method of presentation of adult science fiction stories to the vast audience that has shown increasing interest in this newest form of journalism. The NBC Radio Network is proud to receive this citation on behalf of X-1. NBC is also happy to acknowledge the enthusiastic response and support of the listening audience to this program. Your many letters of encouragement and constructive criticism are always gratefully received. Your criticisms carefully noted, and whenever possible, your suggestions acted upon. Please listen at the end of this program for a special free offer. And now, X-1.
Countdown for blast off. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come transcribed tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in a million, could be years, on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company presents X-1.
Tonight's story, Protective Mimicry, by Algis Budrys.
Frankly, I think I'll probably have to take my expense account clear up to the Central Gallic Civil Service Board. My friends tell me to forget it. But take it from me, a rap in the credit book like this isn't easy to laugh off. Not on a grade 4 civil service pay scale. So I've made my beef out in quadruplicate and filed it. Usually a special agent in United Galactic Federation's Department of the Treasury, Investigations Division, Currency Section, doesn't have much trouble with his swindle sheet. But this one's a corker. To understand, you gotta know how they make the stuff. The Young Gallic Mint is in New Geneva on Canopus 3. I remember I went around with the 40 Deci credit tour when I first joined the staff. The guide was a cute little brunette from one of the Rim stars who was later fired following an annual Pan Solstice office party. I didn't pay much attention to her spiel. She was dressed in the new neo-Minoan style, but I got the general idea.
This is a demonstration machine, of course, but you will notice the indestructible fiber coming off that spool at the right. It goes into the slot in the machine there. Now, if you'll pass along, you see it goes between those two rollers through 6 or 7 chemical baths. No, I'm not sure what chemicals. That's restricted information. It's stamped, analyzed for flaws, dyed, and then run through this unit here. This is the most carefully guarded part of the process. The unit is removed from the plant each night and locked in the deep space vault on the satellite station directly overhead. After the strip emerges here, it is chopped into convenient lengths and carefully removed into armored cars. It is called money.
What does that secret unit do?
Well, that's a very good question. You see, the currency is non-defacable, fireproof, immune to wear, weather, and water. But the most important thing is an electronic pattern impressed into the fiber by that secret pattern. You all know when you cash a bill, it is passed over an electronic plate that reads the pattern. If the serial number and the pattern match, but if they don't, well, first I'll put an ordinary credit note over the beeper. There. Perfectly good. Now, a simulated counterfeit bill without the electronic pattern. Well, now, that wouldn't fool anybody long, would it?
Could anybody duplicate that electronic pattern?
Well, that's a very good question. Only the government has the equipment to put that in. Your currency is safe and sound. Don't you worry about that. Are there any more questions?
Yeah. How about a drink after the tour?
Well, Oh, that's a very good question.
It sure was. So was the answer. Well, getting back to money. The engraving, the chemical composition of the ink and the fiber would be tough enough to duplicate. But that electronic pattern snaps the clincher on it. That's why Chief Inspector Saxgard of my division looked sourly at me when I came into his office and spread a fistful of credit notes on his desk.
What's that?
What's it look like?
A handful of 50s. Why?
Put a couple of them over your beeper plate.
Okay. They're perfectly okay. What's it all about?
Look at the serial numbers.
3, 4, 5, 6, 5, 6, 7, 8, M.
Look at the others.
3, 4, 5, 6, 5... What? Let me see.
Save your eyes. They're all the same. 14 50-credit notes with identical serial numbers.
That's impossible.
And every one of them goes over a beeper plate quiet as a sophomore climbing into a dormitory window after hours.
Formosa, where did you get these?
They came into the New York Clearinghouse from a branch on Deneb 11. The manager blew his top. He called us the minute he spotted them and sent them out to us.
How about the manager? Is he blabbing all over the Bankers Club about it?
I read the Un-Gallic Riot Act to him. He'll keep it under his hat.
Good. At least we won't have any financial panics for a while. Have you checked these through the lab?
Well, the ink and paper is government stock, and they match government beepers. The lab plates didn't squawk any more than yours did. Now, you could spend these anywhere as long as you only pass them one at a time.
Baumholzer, you know, since the beeper plate came in, we've been sitting on our tails in this department, building up our pensions.
Oh, I wouldn't say that.
Neither would I outside this office. But you know darn well nobody can expect to counterfeit a bill and get away with it. It's only because throughout the universe there's a certain percentage of people who will try anything once, and a corresponding percentage of purblind idiots who will accept anything with engraving on it as money that we're here at all. Now, I've seen cigar coupons and crayon sketches come into this office. I've seen premium offers from household magazines, jet bus transfers, where some people will try to pick a Yale lock with a quarter pound of butter. Now, the only reason any queer can pass is because some goggle-eyed nudnik neglects to use his beeper plate. But I worry. For 15 years, I've sat in this stinking office and waited for somebody to invent a matter duplicator.
Well, looks like you can stop worrying. Look at those bills, identical down to the whiskey stain in the corner.
All right, Baumholzer, you call transportation and get out to Deneb 11 and find out if anybody in that neighborhood has a matter duplicator, or if he hasn't, what he has got.
I picked up the department shuttle to the satellite and made fair connections up to Deneb 11. It's a 4-day run on drive, and I get free fall 6, so I was glad to hit the port in Glub. which, so help me, is the name of the only city on the place. Denham 11 is what we call in the department a mud ball. It's a jungle world with an atmosphere like a swatch of Harris tweed. I was smoking a cigarette when I got off the shuttle, and the air I pulled in made the smoke taste like well-decayed leaf mold. I was wringing wet 2 minutes after I left the air-conditioned port. I noticed the local costume would get you arrested on any beach in the galaxy, but it didn't matter since there's nothing titillating about pasty skin dripping with weary perspiration. I checked in with the regional office and found the resident agent tinkering with his air conditioner.
Hi, Baumholzer. You know anything about the sealed power pack on this condenser?
Yeah, if you keep banging at it like that, you'll crack the seal on the atomic shielding, and your posterity will thank you. 3 heads at a time.
Oh, I guess I better not fool with it. Now, take off your pants and pull up a chair.
I don't mind if I do. Is it always this humid?
Oh, no. In the hot season, it's worse. I'd send for a replacement part, but the fax line isn't too reliable. The last time I sent for a sealed unit, they shipped back an overaged sea lion.
Yeah, I know. I was on Polar Station on Ganymede when my heater element broke down. I faxed for 3 feet of element, and they shipped me back 3 fetal elephants.
Yeah. Well, I suppose you're here about the queer bills, huh?
Yeah. Got any lines on it?
Well, my orders will lay off and let the central office handle it. Be my guest.
Any ideas?
No. Where do you figure to start?
Well, this is the only city. I'll have to check it out. Have you got a list of authorized beeper plates?
Somewhere. Let's see here. Oh, look out.
Why?
There's a whittle fly on your arm.
Hey, how does a thing that size get through the filters?
Insects on denim are tricky. This one is a non-filterable virus in the larval stage, and it blows up to this size. Carve his initials in your arm if he gets a good bite. That's why it's called a whittle fly.
The whittle fly was only one of the darlings that made the fair city of Glub a garden spot. They had one cute little tyke called the laboratory beetle, because when he bit you, he typed your blood and followed you around for days getting refills. I had one take a sample of me as I went out the door of the residency with a list of beeper plates, and he followed me from store to store while I checked every installation in the city. The little devil would step up to the bar every once and again to take another shot of my hemoglobin. I even tried ducking into men's rooms fast, but he'd be waiting for me when I came out. Well, I slogged through Glub for 3 days and then poured myself back into the residence office. Did he come in?
Who?
The laboratory beetle.
No, they usually hang around in the hall and wait. Sometimes when I've got a poker game going, you can see 3 or 4 of the little angels buzzing around outside waiting like chauffeurs outside the opera.
Wow.
You draw a blank?
Well, I found 7 defective beeper plates, but nobody remembers any queer bills being passed. You know, who checks serial numbers? They must have come in one at a time. And the clerks at the bank always were out to lunch and referred me to the next guy. You got any lotion for insect bites?
Desk drawer.
In a way, the beeper plates make it tougher. Nobody even looks at the bills anymore. Just throw them over the plate, and if no bells ring, it's okay.
Well, how about the other angle?
Matter duplicator? I checked invoices and purchase records. Nobody's been buying electronic parts that can't account for every tube. I thought I had something. One fellow bought 12 of those giant lithium cathode tubes, but it turned out his wife was having them wired as lamp bases. Well, I better be going. I hate to keep my little insect friend out there in suspense as to cocktail time.
You got another lead?
Yeah, I found a bar that makes a Tom Collins with real lemon juice instead of battery acid. I managed to duck my lab beetle in a revolving door. He went around twice and shot out into the street, so I settled down at a table at the bar and tried to make believe that I couldn't taste Denham 11 atmosphere in my Tom Collins. I was chewing on an ice cube when I looked up.
Mr. Baumholzer?
That's right.
I want to talk to you about money.
He was a terrestrial, but he'd been on Deneb a long time because he was wearing the native garment about the size of a 5-pound sugar sack. His hair, which was potato field gray, was arranged in the old-fashioned Presley style. You know, the ancient long sideburns, duck's tail in the rear that vice presidents wear in family-style banks. His ears had little bits of bone stuck in them, and his eyebrows wandered all over his face, and he stood about 6'8". And I waited him out, and presently he spoke up again.
You are the same Mr. Baumholzer who's been going around asking all those questions about duplicate ungallic notes?
That's right. Can I help you, Mr.
Munger, Duodecimus Munger.
Now, this bid's fair to be fascinating. I was under the impression that my mission here was just a wee bit on the secret side.
There are no secrets in gloves.
Now, won't you pull up a chair, Mr. Munger?
I'm afraid I haven't time.
Well, join me in a drink.
Are you really the Mr. Baumholzer that's working on this case for the Treasury Department?
Yeah, sure. Hey, you're not the fellow that's turning out these duplicates, are you?
Well, as a matter of fact, I am.
What?
And don't move. This is a Power 30 Mistral coagulator I have.
Look out with that thing. You've got it pointed at my head.
Yes, I've got it set on high charge. It will fuse your brain solid.
What else is new?
Now, Mr. Baumholzer, stay right behind that table.
Now, let's not make any rash decisions now.
Well, I can't very well see how I could let you live.
Oh, come on. Try. All right, now drop the gun.
I'm afraid we'll be collecting a crowd.
Give me that. Don't try to pick it up.
I won't. I had something completely different in mind.
Just like in those ancient legends the archaeologists keep digging up, the ones with the hard-boiled detective and the beautiful blonde, I felt the traditional roof fall in on the back of my head. As I went black, I remember thinking how odd it was that it was happening to me some 500 years after Spillane the Scrivener. I came to in the same archaic fashion with my head going around in a free orbit around my neck.
Baumholzer, are you all right?
I can't see. I'm blind. Everything's black.
Well, open your eyes.
Oh. Where is he?
Who?
The guy who slugged me. What am I doing back at your office?
Oh, some bartender brought you in. I thought you passed out from too much lemon juice.
It was a guy named Munger. Which way did he go?
Beats me. Munger? Tall feller in native dress?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you might as well forget about it.
Why?
Well, I can order a pickup on him next time he's in town. They'll sock him away in a psycho ward for a while. Forget it.
Look, I am not an old lady calling up complaining that the nasty delinquents are teasing my cats. That Munger's tied in with the queer.
Him?
He said he was the passer.
Well, that can't be. Munger.
You got a file on him?
Yeah. I get a number of complaints on him, so do the local cops. Well, I didn't want to make trouble. He's a very wealthy man.
I'll bet. What does he do?
Well, he's a merchant or something at a native village. Once or twice a year he comes out and paints the town, but a counterfeiter?
I would like to talk to him again with the Mistral in my hand.
He had a Mistral? Well, that's a violation of a municipal ordinance. You're supposed to check him at the quarantine.
Look, I'm not investigating parking tickets and violations of the anti-noise laws. This is a counterfeiting case. Now, do you know where I can find him?
Well, he's probably gone back to his village.
Where's that?
Out in the jungle.
All right, get out your rubbers, friend. We're going out after him. Suppose you fill your bathtub full of mud, build a fire under it, turn on the shower, and crawl in and wallow a little. Do that, and you've got a fair idea of the Denebian jungle. I went out with Hall, the resident agent, and we started off.
Stick close, Baumholzer. Visibility is about 10 feet.
I'll eat everything I can see within 10 feet. Ow!
What happened?
I walked into a tree. Help me up out of the mud. We puddled on for a couple of hours. The rain was so thick I didn't see the trees until I bounced off of them and sat down in the warm mud. I reflected as I struggled to my feet what a terrible waste. In the beauty salons of Charles of the Ritz Asteroid, ladies from all over the galaxy paid thousands of credits for hot mud baths to take the wrinkles out and make their skin smooth and caressable. And here was I getting a much more thorough treatment every time I sat down. They issue a lot of special equipment from department stores, and it all functioned perfectly. My neo-latex galoshes were fine, but stuck in the mud. My Minipower goggles and wipers kept my eyes clear, but they didn't keep me from crashing into every tree. My leak-proof sportsman's flashlight stayed dry as a bone, but powerful as it was, it couldn't light up more than 3 feet in the pelting rain. Paul, the resident, led the way, consulting a compass and a waterproof map, and finally we stopped, and I noticed that there wasn't any rain coming down on me.
It's a rain shelter. The natives build them.
Kind of them.
Well, they're on all the trails. If you go more than a day in the rain, you go punchy from water drumming on your hat.
I believe it.
Well, now, don't sit down. You'll sink in.
I don't know. Theoretically, a broader base should keep you from sinking like snowshoes.
Well, also increases the suction.
I'll stand. How far is Munger's village?
Well, either 2 miles or 22. I can't read the map very well.
Hey, wait a minute. Listen.
Well, that's the rain.
No. You hear that squelching? Somebody's coming.
Oh, yeah. From over there.
Natives?
Maybe.
There he comes.
Well, we've got first pick on the shelter. It's a native tradition. First come, first dry.
Yeah, there's somebody out there, all right.
Who's there? Who is it? A friend of mine, Mr. Baumholzer.
All right, Munger. Where did you come from?
Don't move. I have several friends pointing long spears at your kidney.
Ole! Ole!
Shall we go, gentlemen, back to my village? I believe you were looking for it.
Munger was so intent on me that he didn't seem to notice as Hall sidled off into the darkness, and when he did, he set up a desperate cackle. He had a few of his fraternity brothers chase down the trail with spears waving wildly, but they came back murmuring some kind of a Choctaw, which seemed to carry the implication that Hall had gotten away like a big-bottomed turtle.
Well, Mr. Baumholzer, your companion's action has saved your life for a while.
Yeah, he'll bring back a platoon of Marines, and they'll reduce that village to a bullion cube.
We'll just have to hold you as a hostage in case help should arrive.
Thanks.
At any rate, shall we get back to the village?
He had about 10 natives with him, each one about 7 foot tall, with those big, flat feet that evolved on Deneb for walking in primordial ooze. They were dressed in the standard native loincloth with matching accessories, namely 10-foot spears. When, as we started out along the trail, I got a good look at Munger's loincloth, it was composed of tastefully arranged 1,000-credit notes. Well, by the time we got back to the village, the rain had stopped. The humidity, of course, was still 120%, and the only difference was that the moisture just loitered around rather than actually falling. There was some kind of a clam bake going on in the village. The natives were pounding a couple of drums, and as far as I could see, getting rapidly stinko on some kind of jungle juice that they passed around in huge gourds. They were leaping and dancing, and as far as I could tell, doing snappy sayings and fancy patter as I sat on some kind of a low mushroom and tried to ignore the 2 spears that were pressed against my throat. It felt as if a nervous barber was trying to shave me with his razor tied on the end of a 10-foot pole. After a bit, Munger strode up to me with all the dignity of the lord of the jungle, and he waved the spears a foot away, pulled up a mushroom, and sat down.
Actually, you know, that wasn't a native rhythm at all. The original Danubian music is a kind of quiet, flute-like melody, something like Mozart.
That didn't sound very flute-like.
Yes, I know. One of the first terrestrial anthropologists out here to study the Denebs took recordings of their music, and then to be polite, he played them in a few recordings that he'd made on an earlier field trip. Unfortunately, they were from that lost rocket colony on Ceres. Their music was a degenerate ancient form called, I believe, Roland Rock. The Denebs liked it. And they've been doing it ever since.
Well, what's the party?
They're propitiating the tree. I don't know why. It's never failed yet. But they're very conservative. They've got to go into this act every night before I can do my stuff. Lasts all night. Want a drink?
No, thanks.
Oh, I wish I had a fifth of something civilized. I've been drinking this native swamp water for much too long.
He was right. They kept it up all night, and I sat trying to figure out in which hut Munger kept his machinery to make those duplicate bills. Finally, the weak light that passes for dawn on Deneb came up, and the natives quit hollering.
Let's go, Baumholzer. I hate to keep a man in suspense. You're curious about those duplicate bills. Well, now you're going to find out how it's done.
Well, it's good of you to show me. I suppose your theory is that I'll never live to tell about it.
That's very sensible of you. I like a man who can face facts.
We walked across the mud square to the base of a tremendous tree, which I gathered was the guest of honor for last night's shivaree. I still couldn't see the connection, but I was willing to wait. The natives sat around in a deathly hush, and Munger and I stepped forward.
You notice? Nothing up my sleeves. As a matter of fact, no sleeves.
And not much arm, either.
Now, I take this 50-credit note. Care to examine it?
Oh, I've seen it, and 14 others like it.
Yes, I only use a 1,000-credit bill when the natives need new loincloths. These 50s are a lot easier to dispose of.
Oh, I don't know. I traced them to you.
But that was a mistake. One of my contacts got a little greedy, spent too many bills in one place. All right. Now, I used to have the natives make a loud noise, but I'll use your gun instead here. You see, I take this bill, fold it, so, and so, and so. And there.
What are you making a paper plane for?
Just watch. I raise the note in one hand, I aim at the tree, and I fire your gun up in the air. Like this.
As he let fly with my gun, Munger sailed the paper airplane straight at the tree, and it sailed right into the foliage.
Now watch.
The bill came sailing back out of the leaves, and right behind it came another one. And then the air was filled with paper planes. Squadrons, wings, armadas of paper airplanes, each one made up of a folded 50-credit note. They sailed out over the whole village, and Munger set the natives to collecting them and bringing them back.
There you are. There'll be several thousands of them. Look.
Genuine. Absolutely genuine. And I suppose they'd go over a beeper plate without a tinkle.
Startling, isn't it?
Protective mimicry.
Yes, precisely. You know, I discovered this tree 6 years ago while I was attempting to evade the clutches of the law on a confidence rap. I swung an axe at it to blaze a trail, and 50 axes came bouncing back at me.
Well, I never heard of any plant developing mimicry to this extent. I know some plants and animals assume dangerous life forms as a camouflage, but this...
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm not a botanist. All I know is that you scare the tree with a loud noise. You throw something at it, and it duplicates what it thinks is the danger. Well, speaking of danger, it doesn't look as if your colleague is bringing any help. Oh, I'll miss your company. Interesting. You'll be shot with your own gun.
Now, look, Munger.
Don't wriggle. I hate a moving target. What is that?
Looks like the cops, Munger, at the edge of the village.
Home holster, where are you?
We outnumber them.
Olea!
I'll get you anyway.
No.
You can't run away from me. I'll shoot.
I broke for the other side of the square, and just as he shot at me, I tripped over a pot and went flying smack into the tree. Well, that's about it. Here we sit in the spaceport on Deneb 11, and I'm darned if I'll pay our transportation back until I hear that the office is going to okay my expense account. Munger? Oh, he's in jail at New Alcatraz. Once he missed a shot at me, it was all over. After I fell into the tree, he didn't stand a chance against us. That's right. Us. All 168 of me. Right, Ed?
Right.
You have just heard X-1.
Here is an important special announcement. In appreciation of bringing adult science fiction to the listening audience through the medium of this program, X-1, Galaxy Magazine wishes to make the following free offer to our listeners. For the first 2,500 who write in requesting it, we will send a sample copy of Galaxy Magazine at absolutely no cost. This is an opportunity to read the finest in adult science fiction, just as you listen to it each week here on X-1. To get your free sample copy of Galaxy, just write a postcard or letter to X-1, NBC, Radio City, New York 20, New York, and ask for your free copy. Be sure to print your name and address plainly on your card or letter. This offer can be made only once, so if you want your own free copy of this leading science fiction publication, be sure to write without delay. Here is the address again. Write to X-1, NBC, Radio City, New York 20, New York. Your sample copy of Galaxy will be sent to you without obligation of any kind.
Tonight, by transcription, X-1 has brought you Protective Mimicry, written by Algis Burgess, and adapted for radio by Ernest Kanoy. Featured in tonight's cast were Mandel Kramer, Terry Keane, Charles Penman, Dick Hamilton, and Wendell Holmes. This is Roger Tuttle. X-1 was directed by Daniel Sutter and is an NBC Radio Network production.
Remember, for your free sample copy of Galaxy, just send a postcard to X-1, NBC Radio City, New York 20, New York. Now be sure to print your name and address plainly on your card. This offer can be made only once, so if you want your own free copy of this leading science fiction publication, be sure to write without delay. The address again, X-1, NBC, Radio City, New York 20, New York. The Roaring Twenties in song and story. Hear Gordon MacRae in The Best Things in Life Are Free tonight.
The Magic Island is sinking into the ocean. It is sinking at the will of G-47 and the scientists, however, and no one inside the artificial island is in any danger. The strange isle of Euclidia is being submerged below the surface of the sea in order to permit a large fleet of battleships to hold maneuvers over it without suspecting the existence of the island. The Gregory yacht has been drawn into a submarine lock under the surface of the island, and Mrs. Gregory, Captain Bradford, and Jerry and Joan discussed the situation in the radio cabin of the yacht.
You said the Euclideans could destroy a battle fleet easily and quickly, Joan. Why don't they destroy this one?
I think there's a very good reason. You know what it is, do you not, Captain Tex?
It's got me, Joan. I may be a little stupid after my long swim, but I can't see it.
Well, the only reason I can think of is that this crazy bunch aren't quite ready to start destroying battleships or warships. But I don't see what they're waiting for.
Captain Bradford, you realize that those battleships are almost upon us. They will be over this position in an hour, if what you heard the guard say is true.
I know that, Joan, but how did those ships get so close?
Hey, I'm beginning to get it. They let those ships get within range on purpose, didn't they, Joan?
Of course, Jerry.
But why?
I got it, Captain. They must have seen those battleships coming for the last 200 miles or more. And the reason they didn't make any move to stop them was because they didn't want anybody to suspect this island. They wanted you to get out that pigeon. Then they figured to stop the pigeon and get the formula.
You are exactly right, Jerry. These Euclideans have great patience, and they will have many more chances to destroy battleships, while this was their last chance to get the captain's formula.
But they've missed their chance anyhow. The pigeon got away, and the ships are too near for them to go after the pigeon.
Yes, Mother, and G-47 will not attack those ships without the captain's formula, for he is not sure the formula has not found its way to friendly hands already. And in that event, Euclidia would live a very short life.
Boy, that's almighty keen for us, isn't it, Tex?
It sure is, son. That little pigeon is well on his way to Johnson's boat now. And if this battle fleet stays around these waters for a few hours, long enough for the pigeon to reach Johnson's boat, and for Johnson to start running back to Los Angeles, we're as good as off this island now.
Out of it, you mean? We're inside the blame thing now.
We are quite safe in here. There is nothing to worry about.
But inside this lot, we must be 10 feet below the surface of the water now. How about the air?
The air is kept fresh from oxygen tanks in the base of the island. There is enough compressed oxygen there to feed every chamber on the island a normal flow of pure air if we were submerged for a month. And even after that, for they have machinery for getting the oxygen out of the water around us.
Golly whiskers.
Well, Tex, it seems that we're comparatively safe at least. Though it's a strange feeling to be on board a yacht that's floating below the surface of the ocean.
Yes, we're all right until G-47 decides to do something to us. And when he decides that the pigeon is safely on its way, I think he'll begin to do things.
Tell us what happened to you, Captain. When the lock gates to the ocean were closed, we thought you had been caught outside the lock.
It was terrible, Tex, to feel the yacht being submerged and thinking of you out there, helpless when the island went under also.
Well, I was inside the lock before they closed the gate, but I floated out near the end of the pier for a while to hear what the guards were talking about. That's how I got the information on the battle fleet coming.
But how did you come aboard here? That's what I can't see.
Well, when you were all looking forward, at the lock gates opening into the island, I sneaked along the deck and in here. I was afraid to attract your attention for fear you'd give me away.
Then, when the mast was knocked over on the cabin roofs, you put out the light so we could enter the cabin without exposing you. That was very clever, Captain.
It was wonderful, Tex. And now we're all together again.
Yeah, we're all together again. But I got a sneaking notion our troubles are getting ready to get together, too.
What's up, kid?
Well, for one thing, the radio smashed.
How much damage was done?
You mean when the mast fell and broke your antenna cables?
Yes, Joan. That wouldn't hurt the set here any. But without an aerial and shielded by this metal lock, I'm afraid we haven't much of a radio left.
G47 and his transmission engineers do not use aerials. Yet their apparatus will send and receive messages much farther than your equipment.
Sure. They build their sets to work without aerials, and they've got electricity to burn. We've only got portable stuff.
Well, turn it on, Jerry. Open it wide now and leave it hot. We might pick up something to listen to.
Okay, I'll warm it up. But I looked at the winding, and this set wasn't made to do much without an aerial.
What does that mean, Joan, dear? That was the alarm gong, wasn't it?
Yes, Mother. That means to stand by all stations. I think they will submerge the island now.
Will it affect us any in this lock?
I think not. At least not until the oxygen supply is turned on. Then the air will feel sharp when you inhale it. That will be the only thing noticeable, I'm sure.
How deep will we go, dear?
I think to the bottom, if we are to clear heavy ships.
And how far down is the bottom?
The island can be submerged to more than half its own depth. The airlock in the ocean floor is 60 feet deep, and the island is only 100 feet in height. So if we submerge completely, the surface of the island will be 50 to 60 feet below the waterline.
That sounds mighty big to us, Joan. I'd like to see it done.
Would they allow that, do you think, dear?
I have seen it many times. Most of the locks have one transparent wall, so that you may look out into the water and study the natural life on the ocean floor.
I got the set hot, Tex, but nothing doing. I've tried every wavelength. Got it on Johnson now, but I can't even raise a signal from any of those boats around us here.
Well, we better go to work on that set, kid. Our only hope is to have some way of hearing from Johnson when the pigeon gets to his boat.
That is the signal to submerge. Now the island will sink slowly into the sea, and in a few moments we will be many feet below the surface of the ocean.
That signal has a heavy, resonant, vibrating quality. Mightn't it be heard for many miles around?
I wondered about that, too, Pat. Those battleships have plenty of underwater ears. They can hear a sub a long way off.
No, Captain. The Euclideans have controlled that in some way. The sound stops at the magnetic ring and does not rise above the surface of the island.
Old G47 sure thinks of everything, and then some.
I wish we could see what's going on. It'll be wonderful to look up through the water and see a fleet maneuver from below.
What's that for, Joan?
The island has sunk to the first level, 10 feet below the water. That would mean that the little steel control chambers you saw on top of the island are just going underwater now.
They didn't get under any too soon, either. Those ships must be within 20 miles of here by now.
Come in. Oh, you. I might have known it.
Gee whiz, now the cat's out of the bag.
Tex, you shouldn't have said come in so carelessly.
You need not reproach the captain. I have known for some time he was aboard.
I should have thought of that. Of course you knew it when you could not find him swimming near the island.
Precisely.
What do you want here?
Nothing. Here. You will come with me, Captain Bradford. You also, Cleostra. Follow me immediately.
Are you going to show them something?
No. I am going to put them where they can see nothing.
Was that the second level? Are we now 20 feet below the sea?
Precisely. Captain, Cleostra, come quickly.
And what if we don't care to come?
Captain, do you not see that ray gun in his hand? We will do as you wish, G47.
Joan's right, Tex. Terry and I'll be all right here. Go with him and do as he says.
That's the spirit, Mrs. Gregory. They can't scare us.
You make up in stupidity what you lack in fear. Go. I will follow you.
Keep your chin up, Pat. Take care of her, Jerry. Come on, Joan.
Yes, Captain. We will go.
I might remind you, Mrs. Gregory, that I expect you and this young fool to remain quietly on the yacht. Your friends will return when I have finished with them.
Jerry, What's he going to do with Tex and Joan?
Now, don't worry, Mrs. Gregory. He's not going to do anything to them. Only put them where they can't see what's going on.
But why them and not us?
Well, he figures you and I ain't any too heavy on brains, I guess.
Why, Jerry.
Well, I mean, he's afraid Joan will get a chance to do something because she knows all about this island. And he knows Tex is liable to see some way to get an alarm to those boats. I guess he thinks you and I just sitting here and cry.
The third level. This is quite an experience, Jerry.
Plenty for me. But what I'm most worried about is that this radio won't work. And I got a notion there's nothing wrong with the set. It's all in the aerial. And this steel lock isn't helping me any.
What was that?
The anchor chain ran out and dropped the stern hook on the steel floor of this lock.
Of course. The skipper must have released it in trying to clear away the broken mast.
Well, it won't hurt anything.
J12C calling J24Y.
It's Johnson.
The set's working again. Listen.
Nothing more, Jerry.
Well, never mind. We'll keep the set open. Maybe he'll come in again.
Now we're down to the fourth level, Jerry. There should be only one more of those alarms.
Yeah. I wonder where G47 took Joan and Captain Bradford.
J12C calling J24Y. J12C standing by. We'll stay here indefinitely. Standing by. J12C will repeat every quarter hour. J12C, J24Y. That is all.
Oh, Jerry, he's standing by. Johnson's arrived at the position north of us.
Then he's within range of the pigeon Tex sent off. That's swell. All we got to do now is hang on and wait. Oh, how about it?
Can't do any harm, Jerry.
Come in.
Oh, come on in, Skipper, and close the door.
Aye.
What's on your mind, Skipper?
Anchor.
Yes, Skipper, we heard it drop. Did it do any damage?
Radio.
What about the radio?
Aerial.
Was the aerial tangled in the anchor chain?
Aye.
Gosh, then thanks for letting the anchor run out and hitting the bottom.
Why?
Because we didn't have any aerial at all till that happened.
Don't you see, Skipper? The anchor's the aerial now. It's touching the bottom of this steel lock, and the aerial's mixed up with it. Leave that anchor on the bottom, Skipper, and the aerial wire mixed up with the chain. We've got this whole island for an aerial now.
The Magic Island is underwater. 50 feet below the surface of the South Pacific Ocean lies the strange hidden Isle of Euclidia. The battle fleet of one of the great nations is holding maneuvers in this section, and the Euclidean scientists have submerged their island rather than run the risk of detection. The Gregory yacht has been drawn into a submarine lock with all on board, but now only Mrs. Gregory and Jerry remain with the crew, as Captain Tex Bradford and Joan have been taken to another part of the island by G47. Jerry and Mrs. Gregory are talking excitedly about a radio message just received from Johnson's boat. The skipper is with them.
That's fine, Jerry. Then as long as the broken aerial is tied to the anchor chain, you will be able to use the radio.
I think so, Mrs. Gregory. You see, the anchor lies on the bottom of this steel lock, and with the aerial mixed up with the anchor chain, we've really got the whole island as an aerial.
Was that all you had to tell us, Skipper?
Aye.
Did you see where G47 took Joan and the captain?
Nope.
Just let the anchor stay down, won't you, Skipper? And take another turn or two of aerial wire around that anchor chain to be sure it won't slip off. Will you please, sir?
Aye.
That's all, Skipper. Thanks a lot.
Aye.
The skipper don't waste a whole lot of time talking, but he knows what he's doing all the time.
J12C to J24Y. Regular quarter-hour report. If you are getting me, try relay to land station. No signal from you for 24 hours.
Poor Johnson, he doesn't know we're getting him.
Large fleet holding maneuvers near last position you gave me. You should be able to contact fleet if in same vicinity. Making no attempt to move to your aid as per instructions. J12C standing by. J12C.
Gee, I'd like to try sending a message to him.
I'm afraid it wouldn't be safe, Jerry. These men would be sure to intercept it on the island.
I don't know, Mrs. Gregory. We've got plenty of aerial now, and Johnson's only about 300 miles from here, it might work. But if their radios are grounded on the same framework, no use. They'd pick it up, sure.
The thing I'm afraid of, Jerry, is that Johnson may send one of the pigeons from his boat. And with our yacht in this lock, the poor bird would be hopelessly lost.
Yeah, Tex was worried about that, too. But I don't know how to send a message to him that G47 can't figure out.
I know the code, Jerry, but it's too dangerous, and I think Tex would just want us to wait a few hours and see if our pigeon gets to Johnson's boat all right. Then we can take action.
Okay, Mrs. Gregory. I guess you're right. But it's a funny feeling to have a radio and not to be able to use it.
Jerry, did you feel that?
Yeah. Kind of like a little earthquake.
It was sharper than that. There wasn't any sound, yet I distinctly felt the boat shudder just a little.
Sure. That fleet's right over us. They must be starting target practice.
There it is again. And again. And again. Yes, Jerry, that's target practice.
Boy, I hope they don't use any torpedoes.
Or wouldn't the magnetic field around the island deflect the torpedoes away from us?
Yeah, if they're using the magnetic field. But I don't think they are.
Why not?
Because that would call attention to the island. And I think what old G47 wants most of all right now is to keep his island a secret.
That's right, Jerry. And there may be a chance of a stray torpedo coming this way, though I think we're too deep for a direct hit.
I'm getting kind of nervous about Joan and the captain. I wish we knew what they were doing.
So do I, but I think no harm will come to them.
I'm not so sure about that. Let's go and look for them.
Tex told us to stay here. He wouldn't want us to move around and leave the radio.
Yeah, I suppose so. But there's no danger of Johnson calling again right away. He said he'd call every quarter hour.
I'll stay here, Jerry, if you want to go look for them. I'll be quite all right here.
No, ma'am. We go together or not at all. Tex left me to take care of you, and I'm going to do it. I got it. We can leave the skipper in here with a radio. Then we could go and know that someone was here to take any message that came in.
We'll do that, Jerry. Go and bring the skipper, will you?
Okay.
J12C to J24Y. J12C calling J24Y. Message just received. You must be in danger. Your position has given me impossible. No island at such position. Just received message from battleship. Engaged in long-range fire on that position. Reports no island. Ship has been getting me clear. Why no message from you? J12C to J24Y. Will ask fleet to look for you. Standing by. Johnson.
That's a funny one, isn't it?
What's funny about it, Jerry? Johnson has been talking with one of those ships overhead, trying to check on our position. And they've naturally reported to him that there is no island here. There isn't, as far as the fleet navigators know.
But that's what's funny about it. How did Johnson get that message without me getting it here?
Why, Jerry, you're right. Our radio should have picked up the ship's message. And if we can hear Johnson 300 miles away, why couldn't we hear the ship standing within a few miles of us, possibly right over our head?
For a mighty good reason. The ship didn't send any message.
You mean?
I mean it's a gag, a bluff. Johnson's trying to put over a message to us, telling us that he's near enough to know all about the fleet being right on our position.
To J24Y. Johnson to Bradford on J24Y. Flash from fleet in maneuvers. Small cruiser or yacht reported burning at sea near your last position. I am going to disregard your orders and sail at once. The bosun threatened to go without me. Says it's an easy course and he can navigate it alone. So I have decided to go. If your radio is dead on the transmission side, but you can receive this, use manual signals to one of the fleet. I will contact them and pick you up. Sailing at once. Expect average 40 knots. J12C to J24Y. Will call from harbor at Pedro. Johnson.
No, it's getting more mixed up.
It's all right, Jerry. That was in code. And Johnson used a long story to cover up the 10 or 12 words of value he put carelessly in the middle of it.
Oh, tell me about it then. I guess I missed it.
I hope G47 did, as it's certain they'd be listening to the message.
Well, what's it all about?
Johnson said the bosun was going to take the boat out without orders if he wouldn't sail. The bosun, Jerry.
Gee, the bosun. The homing pigeon. Boy, is that slick. And I missed it.
I wonder if we should try to find Tex or get word to him.
I'm not so sure about that. We might get all excited and give the thing away. And if G47 knows we're getting any message of value over that radio, he'd soon rip it out of here.
On the other hand, Jerry, It's only by allowing us to keep the radio and intercepting our messages that G47 has any chance to learn of our plans. No, I think we'll be allowed to keep the radio.
Well, we could send the skipper after Tex and Joan.
Yes, but I'm not sure, Jerry. Let's think on it a few minutes.
How about my trying to send a message to Johnson? Maybe we could word it so G47 wouldn't make anything out of it.
Well, it might be all right, Jerry, and it would help a lot if Johnson could know that the bosun was on his way to him. But it's too dangerous, I think. We'll just have to wait for Tex and see what he says.
Hello, folks.
Tex, where's Joan?
She's in submarine lock 6, right next to this one. And there's going to be something doing mighty quick.
What's going on, sir?
That last message of Johnson's. I was in the communication chamber getting a lesson on how hopeless our situation is here when that message came into you.
Yes, Tex, and did you understand it? Did you get what Johnson meant about the bosun?
Sure, I got it, but the trouble is that G47 got it too.
What?
Golly, that's bad. You mean G47 knows we sent that pigeon to Johnson? And that Johnson's close enough to receive it right now?
Worse than that, son. They've got directional graphs and range finders in that control room that make anything we've got look childish. And 30 seconds after Johnson's message came, they located him in their directional finders. And they know his position to the fraction of a second.
But, Tex, I know that's bad. And it will hurry Johnson into running away the moment he gets the message off the bosun. But after all, G47 can't do anything about it. He doesn't dare make a move with this battle fleet playing around right over our heads.
That's what I thought, too, but I didn't realize how desperate these scientists are or how much that formula means to them.
But, gee, Captain Bradford, they're not going to try to stop that pigeon with all the battleships around here, are they?
No, not the pigeon, for they're smart enough to realize they can't afford to fight with this fleet just at this time.
But Joan said they could destroy battleships quickly and easily with their ray guns.
So they can, but it would bring the rest of the world down on them. And they're not just ready for that. They've got to have my formula first. And then they will be able to attack the entire world or defend themselves against it.
Gosh, what's it all about, Captain? They just simply can't do anything to that pigeon without the battle fleet seeing them do it. Joan said their large ray guns weren't accurate enough to pick that pigeon out of the air over 50 miles away. And he ought to be nearing that now.
Of course, Tex. You're just worried by seeing their wonderful equipment. Jerry's right. They couldn't hit the pigeon with a ray. And, Tex, more than that, we're submerged. They can't even use the air rays. And a submarine ray wouldn't hurt the pigeon any.
No, a submarine ray wouldn't hurt the pigeon any. But a submarine would hurt Johnson.
Golly whiskers, Captain.
Tex, not with this battle fleet right around here. Why, they wouldn't dare.
Maybe not, but they're going to just the same.
You mean they're going to send a submarine out after Johnson's boat with all these surface ships and maybe a sub or two of their own out there?
Just that, son. And I want you to go along with them.
Huh? Me? Me go in the submarine?
Why, Tex, you don't know what you're suggesting.
It's not a suggestion. It's an order. You want to sign on this yacht as a member of the crew, didn't you, Jerry?
I did, sir.
All right. Report to Submarine Lock 6 immediately for observation duty on the Euclidean submarine.
Aye, aye, sir.
But, Tex, if anything should happen...
That'll do, Pat. Jerry's going with that sub. You'll follow the ramp back into this lock. Turn left at the end of the lock. You'll find a guard there to take you to the sub. Come on, snap it up. You're holding them up now. Shove off.
Aye, aye, sir. Any special orders?
Keep your eyes open and your mouth shut. Use your own judgment. That's all.
Tex Bradford, do you realize what you've done? You sent that boy out there into certain danger. I could almost hate you for that.
Oh, I'm sorry, Pat. But I'm in command of this expedition, and it's the only thing to do. I wanted to go along, but G47 was too smart for that. He figured I might be able to warn Johnson some way when we got near him, or beat them to the note I sent with the pigeon and destroy it.
But Jerry will have to stand by and watch them sink our other boat with Johnson and the crew on board.
No danger of that. They want the equipment on board too badly. All Jerry will have to do is to keep his eyes open and warn Johnson not to resist. He'll do that. The kid thinks fast, and they were afraid to let me go.
Oh, I understand. I'm sorry I was so... Tex, where's Joan?
Joan? Why? Oh, she'll be all right. Jerry will take care of her.
Jerry? Then Joan... Tex, Joan is going on that submarine?
Yes, dear. G47's orders. He knows we won't dare to make a move to contact this battle fleet or harm the sub in any way with Joan and Jerry aboard.
Joan. And Jerry.
Steady, dear.
I'm not going to pieces, Tex. I was just thinking how safe the future of the world is in the hands of young people like that.
The Super Delicious Cereal presents The Adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Yes, it's Superman. And today, as we resume our story, Perry White and Clark Kent are very much concerned over Lois Lane's account of the talking cat. We'll join them in a moment, but right now, here's Dan McCullough and his young cousin Doris, who seems to have found a new friend.
Dan, you know that new family that moved in next door to us?
Why, sure, the Davises.
Well, this is Hal. We just got acquainted.
Well, Hal, it's mighty swell that you're going to live in our neighborhood.
Yeah, I guess it is, Dan, but...
Why? Don't you think you're going to like us?
Oh, yeah, sure, but...
Hal's kind of worried, Dan, because all of us kids are collecting comic buttons, and he doesn't have any.
Well, but doesn't your family eat lots of Kellogg's Pep?
Yeah, but...
Well, then, you can collect these comic buttons, too.
Sure, but...
Why, it's easy as anything. All you have to do...
Dan, Hal knows how to get comic buttons. Give him a chance to tell you what happened.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, you see, Dan, we all collected them where I used to live, and I had quite a few, but, well, somehow or other, when we moved, they got lost.
Oh, say, that's a shame. Well, look, maybe the kids around here can help you get started again. Because a fella feels sort of out of things unless he's got some of these bright-colored comic buttons to wear on his jacket or his cap. You miss out on a lot of fun, too, if you're not trading duplicates and comparing notes with your friends on how many you've collected. So it's a good thing these exciting comic buttons are so easy to get. You don't send in any money, not even a box stop, and you can't buy them anywhere. But every time Mom opens a package of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, Kellogg's Pep, there's your thrilling prize. Get your comic buttons, gang, from P.E.P. Pep, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now, the adventures of Superman.
Suddenly, like a bolt out of the blue, Lois Lane attempted to resign from the Daily Planet without offering any explanation. Finally, she confessed that she feared she was losing her mind, and went on to explain that a Siamese cat, which had been sent to her for Christmas by an unknown admirer, had been talking to her. After examining the cat, Clark Kent, Perry White, and Jimmy Olsen assured Lois that she was overtired and had imagined the whole thing. Well, somewhat relieved, the girl reporter agreed to take a sedative and go to sleep. But soon after she got into bed, she heard the strange cat voice speak to her again. As we continue now, Kent, White, and Jimmy have returned to the Daily Planet and are walking through the city room. Listen.
All Lois needs is a good rest. I think I'll send her to Florida. Good idea, Kent?
Swell idea, Chief. A couple of weeks of sunshine ought to get the kinks out of her nerves.
Well, come to think of it, Chief, Mr. White, my nerves have been feeling pretty kinky lately.
Oh, yeah? Well, get yourself a sun lamp, Olson.
Oh. See you both later.
Wait, Kent. Huh? Come into my office. I got something for you. You too, Olson.
Something for me? What?
Don't look so eager. It isn't anything to eat.
Oh, gosh, what is it?
Keep your shirt on, Jim.
Mr. Grayson, the publisher of the Planet, sent wristwatches to the members of the staff for Christmas.
What? You mean he sent me one?
Yes. I guess he suffers from the same delusion that you do, that you're a reporter.
Oh, gosh.
They're here in my desk. Lois and I already have ours, but you two are away since Christmas, and... here. Here they are.
Oh, say, that was very nice of Mr. Grayson.
Yeah, it sure was. What jeepers, look at it, Mr. Kent. It's a honey.
Uh-huh.
Look at the swell gold band.
Come in.
And look at my initials on the back.
Quiet, Olson. What is it, Miss Backrack?
Miss Lane called a few minutes ago, Mr. White.
Lois? What did she want?
Well, she sounded terribly disturbed, almost hysterical.
Uh-oh.
Gosh, I wonder if...
Will you be quiet, Olson? What do you mean hysterical, Miss Backrack? What did she say?
Well, she said to tell you and Mr. Kent that the cat talked again.
What?
I knew it.
If you ask me, Mr. White, I think Miss Lane is having a nervous breakdown. She's been acting awfully
Never mind that. Now, what else did she say?
Well, she said she had to get away, and she was leaving at once to stay with some friends. She was so excited, I couldn't get the name very clearly, but I think she said the Markhams.
Lucille and Harry Markham, they live in Forest Heights. Did she say anything else, Miss Backrack?
Yes, sir. She said for you to please come and get the cat, Mr. Kent.
What?
She was leaving word with the doorman to let you into her apartment.
Well, anything else?
No, sir.
Look, Miss Backrack. Now, don't mention this to anyone, you understand? It might embarrass Miss Lane later.
Oh, no. I won't mention it to a soul. Miss Lane is such a lovely girl. I only
All
hope
right. Thank you, Miss Backrack. Go back to your desk.
Yes, sir.
Confound it, Kent. I thought we'd talk Lois out of that cat nonsense.
Either she's in pretty bad shape,
or the cat did talk, eh? Now, look, Kent, don't you start that poppycat.
Well, I wasn't thinking of the cat. I was thinking of something else.
What, Mr. Kent?
Just a little idea that might be worth investigating. Come on, Jim.
Come on, Jim. Where? What idea?
I want to have a look at Lois's apartment again, and something else. Also, we've got to pick up the cat. Let's go, Jim. If anything comes up while we're gone, Chief, we'll be at Lois's apartment.
I don't get it, Mr. Kent. Well, that's just an ordinary leather collar the cat's wearing. Why do you keep examining it?
Yeah, I guess you're right, Jim. Okay, you can get down, Kitty. Go along.
Huh? What do you mean I'm right?
It's just an ordinary leather collar.
Well, of course it is. What did you think it was?
Well, whatever I thought, I was wrong. Come on, let's have another look at Lois's bedroom.
Well, what for? You've already done everything to it except rip up the mattress.
Well, I just want to be sure.
Sure of what?
That the cat didn't talk.
What? Holy mackerel, Mr. Kent. You don't mean to say you think this cat can talk, do you?
Oh, of course not, Jim. I just meant that the cat voice Lois says she heard.
But she didn't hear any voice. She only thought she did.
Well, now, maybe she did hear it.
Huh? But you just said that
I said I don't believe she heard the cat. But she might have heard a voice she believed came from the cat.
Well, how could that be?
Well, now, look, suppose there were a speaking device hidden somewhere in this room, and somebody at the other end of it sent his or her voice into the room. Now, Lois knew there was nobody in the apartment except herself and the cat, so when she heard the strange voice...
She thought it was the cat.
Right.
Well, that's why you were examining the cat's collar.
Mm-hmm.
You thought it might be some kind of a receiver, huh?
Yes, but I was wrong there. And I'm wrong about there being a hidden speaking device in this room, too.
Well, how do you know? It might be in the wall someplace.
No, it isn't.
How do you know it isn't? You can't see through a wall.
Yes, I can. I went over the walls and floor very carefully when we were here this morning.
Oh, well, maybe there's something in one of the closets. Or in the dresser, or in that cabinet.
No, there isn't. Take my word for it, Jim. And since this apartment is on the 16th floor and there's no fire escape, nobody could have projected the voice through a window.
Gosh, who would do a dirty trick like that anyhow? Trying to drive poor Miss Lane nuts and telling her Mr. White was her enemy.
Well, I don't know who would do it or why, but I'm certainly glad she went to visit the Markhams. Lucille and Harry are both jolly people and very fond of Lois. A week or so with them, and then maybe a trip to Florida, and she ought to be all right again. Okay, come on, Jim. Get the cat, and we'll be going.
Oh, going where?
Oh, we have to drop the cat at the ASPCA.
That's what I thought you were going to say. You mean we're going to have it put away?
Oh, not necessarily. It's a very pretty cat, and someone may adopt it. We can't leave it here alone with no one to feed and take care of it.
I'll feed and take care of it.
You?
Sure, I like cats, and so does my mother.
Now, wait a
She's
minute.
been wanting a cat, too, so why can't I adopt it?
Aren't you afraid it might talk to you?
Oh, are you kidding? Oh, please, Mr. Kent, I'll be good to it. And you could see when I was holding it that it liked me.
Okay. Take it home. There's a traveling box for it in the living room. Suppose that's the one it came in.
Oh, I'll get it. Thanks, Mr. Kent.
All right.
Come on, kitty. Come on. Isn't that the phone?
Yes, I'll get it. It's in here. Hello?
Hello, is that you, Mr. Kent?
Yes?
This is Miss Backrack at the office.
Oh, yes, Miss Backrack.
A call just came in for Mr. White.
Oh?
When I said he stepped out for a little while, the party asked for you.
Me?
Yeah, I heard you say you and Jim were going to Miss Lane's apartment, so when this party said it was terribly important...
What party?
Mrs. Markham. She said to tell you Lucille Markham.
Oh, yes. Miss Lane is visiting her. Well, what was the message?
She just said to have you call her as soon as possible. She said it was terribly important about Miss Lane. She seemed very upset, Mr. Kent.
That's funny. Did she leave her number?
Yes, just a minute. Here it is. Forest Heights, 211.
Now, wait till I write that down. Forest Heights, 211?
That's right.
Thanks.
Oh, gee, Mr. Kent, I hope nothing's gone wrong with Miss Lane.
Well, I'll find out. Thanks, Miss Backrack. Jim, come here, will you?
Yeah? What is it, Mr. Kent?
I'm afraid something happened to Lois, Jim.
Gee whiz, what could...
Wait a minute.
Number clear.
I want Forest Heights 211, operator.
211?
That's right, 211. And please try to hurry it, will you? It's terribly important.
Tensely, Clark Kent and Jimmy Olsen wait for the call to suburban Forest Heights to be completed. We'll return a moment for the startling climax of today's episode. But first, here again is your announcer.
Don't forget, gang, if you have duplicate comic buttons to trade, you know, the swell buttons everybody's collecting from packages of Kellogg's Pep, be sure to let your pals know about it. Tell them which duplicates you have and which comic strip characters you need. Then you can swap and be one button closer to having all 18 in the series. You won't want to miss out on a single one because they're all true to life and really brilliant with color. Why, the pictures of your favorite funny paper characters look so real they could speak, like Smitty, for instance, and Herbie, and Superman himself. And you know, it's so easy to get these exciting comic buttons. You don't send in a single penny, not even a box top, and you can't buy them anywhere. But inside every package of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, Kellogg's Pep, there's an exclusive prize. Get busy and complete your collection of these nifty comic buttons. Ask Mom to get you some P.E.P. Pep, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now, back to the adventures of Superman.
In Lois Lane's apartment, Clark Kent has just placed a call for Lucille Markham, Lois's friend. Jimmy Olsen stands by anxiously, the fawn-colored Siamese cat in his arms.
Hello?
Miss Markham? Lucille? This is Clark Kent.
Oh, Clark, I'm so glad you called.
Yes.
Listen, do you know where Lois is?
Lois? What? Well, she's at your house, isn't she?
That's just it. She isn't. And I expected her hours ago.
What's the matter, Mr. Kent?
Just a minute, Jim. That's strange, Lucille. She called the office before noon and said she was going to your place then.
Yes, that's what she told me. She called about 11 o'clock and asked if she could stay with us for a few days.
Uh-huh.
She sounded terribly upset, Clark.
Yes, I know.
And, of course, I told her we'd be delighted to have her. She said she was all packed and would leave at once by taxi.
A taxi?
Yes. Now, I expected her in time for lunch. You know, we're about 45 minutes drive from Lois' apartment.
Yeah.
My goodness, here it is almost 3 o'clock and she isn't here. Oh, I'm worried, Clark. She really sounded quite ill.
Oh, she is ill.
Didn't Miss Lane get there?
No, she didn't.
Gosh, what are you...
Listen, Lucille, I'll look into it at once. You stay right there, and if you hear from Lois, call me at the Daily Planet, will you? If I'm not there, leave a message and I'll call you back.
All right. And please call me as soon as you find out anything, Clark.
Sure.
I'm really terribly worried.
I will, Lucille. Don't worry. So long now.
Golly, Mr. Kent.
Just a minute, Jim. Lois disappeared. I've got to think. This is strange. Very strange.
His mind racing desperately, Clark Kent looks carefully around Lois's bedroom again. Then at the Siamese cat, whose gray-blue eyes stare at him. What has happened to Lois Lane? And what is the strange secret of the cat Lois swears talked to her and warned her of grave danger? Well, fellows and girls, don't miss tomorrow's exciting episode in our fascinating new story. Tune in, same time, same station, for the mystery of the talking cat in the adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Fellows and girls, be sure to follow the adventures of Superman, brought to you every day, Monday through Friday, same time, same station, by the grand old Kellogg Company of Battle Creek. And for other thrilling adventures of Superman, see your local newspaper. Superman is also a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC publications. Say, gang, get a load of this. Kellogg's Variety is back. That's the famous variety carton of 6 swell Kellogg cereals in 10 separate packages. Makes breakfast more fun than a picnic. With Kellogg's Variety on the table, you can choose among Kellogg's Rice Krispies, Pep, Corn Flakes, shredded wheat crumbles, and 40% bran flakes. Simply help yourself to your favorite. Each box holds a fresh, crisp, heaping portion. So ask Mom to get Kellogg's Variety right away. And be sure to be with us tomorrow for the thrilling adventures of Superman. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System. Kellogg's Pep, the super delicious cereal, presents
The Adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Yes, it's Superman. And today is Clark Kent. He is alarmed over the sudden disappearance of Lois Lane. We'll join him at Inspector Henderson's office in just a moment. But first, let's join our good friend Dan McCullough.
You know, sometimes I think it would be interesting to find out who's collected the most comic buttons from packages of Kellogg's Pep, fellas or girls. Well, actually, of course, it doesn't make a great deal of difference because eventually all the members of the gang will have all 18 buttons. But it would be fun to see who gets there quickest. Out our way, both fellas and girls are mighty busy trading duplicates, for example. You know, that's one swell way to add a new comic button to your collection and a heap of fun, too. And I see a lot of jackets and dresses and caps with these buttons pinned on. Look mighty smart. You see, the pictures of your favorite funny sheet characters are done up in full comic strip colors, brilliant red and blue and black on a gleaming white background, so they really show up. And you know, the buttons are made of sturdy metal, and you'll have them for a long time. But the best part is, they're so easy to get. You don't send in any money, not even a box stop, and you can't buy them anywhere. But every time Mom opens a new package of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, Kellogg's Pep, there's your exclusive prize. Remember, gang, that's P-E-P, Pep, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now, the adventures of Superman.
As we learned yesterday, Lois Lane, star girl reporter for the Daily Planet, is in a state of panic. She is certain that a Siamese cat sent to her as a Christmas present by an unknown admirer has the power of human speech. She swears that she heard the cat talking to her, warning her to beware of Perry White, editor of the Daily Planet. Clark Kent and young Jimmy Olsen examined both the seemingly harmless cat and Lois's apartment, but found nothing. They were about to leave when a telephone call came through from Lucille Markham, a close friend of Lois's. Lois, it seems, had called Lucille to ask whether she could stay at the Markham house in the suburbs for a few days, and had assured Lucille that she was leaving immediately, and now, hours later, had failed to arrive. As we continue, it is early evening. Clark Kent and Jimmy Olsen are at police headquarters in the office of Inspector Henderson. Listen.
Now, look, Inspector, this has gone beyond the point where it's a joke. We know Miss Lane entered a taxi in front of her apartment building at 11:30 this morning and told the driver to take her to Forest Heights where the Markhams live. The doorman heard her. Now, it's up to you to locate the driver of that taxi.
We're doing everything we can, Kent. But the driver seems to have disappeared, too.
Well, it shouldn't require much effort to find a bonded registered taxi driver in a bright yellow cab.
How do you know he was a bonded registered driver?
Because
he might have been a mug planted in that cab to pick up Miss Lane.
Gosh, I never thought of that.
I did, but it doesn't hold water.
Why not?
Because the cab was one of the yellow taxi company fleet. The doorman remembers that. Now, if a yellow cab had been stolen, there would have been a report on it by this time. It's been 6 hours since Lois disappeared.
Yeah, how about that, Inspector?
Well, I admit I don't know the answer. But when we pick up the driver...
And how long is that going to take?
Confound it, Kent, would you quit riding me? I'm getting sick. Come in.
Get in there. Go on. Okay, cop, okay. You don't have to push me.
Who's this, Healy?
He's the guy we're looking for, Inspector. The hacky who picked up Miss Lane.
He is? Gosh.
Well, now we're getting someplace. Where'd you find him?
Oh, about 4 miles out on the River Parkway. He was part of the car, fast asleep. Or else he was making out like he was. I was asleep. Yeah, says you.
Oh, never mind that. Where did you take Miss Lane, driver?
If you're talking about the dame I picked up at the Frontenac Apartments this morning, kind of a good-looking dame.
Yes, that's Miss Lane. Now, where did you take her?
I didn't take her no place. Like I was telling this Dick, something screwy happened. Are you going to tell that cockeyed story again? It's the truth, so help me. Wait till you hear this, Inspector.
I intend to. What's your name, driver?
Joe Ross. Here's my hack license.
This license seems to be okay. All right, driver, start talking. But remember, I want the truth.
Okay, here it is. I picked this dame up in front of the Frontenac Apartments about 11:30 this morning. She says she wants to go to some number on Maple Street in Forest Heights. I forget what the number was.
1219?
Yeah, that's it. I cut over to Ridge Road and picked up the Parkway. This dame kept bothering me all the time to go faster. I never see such a nervous dame, and I see plenty driving a hack. But all of a sudden, about the time we hit the Parkway, I don't hear no more out of her. I look back, and she's fast asleep.
Asleep, huh?
Yeah, that's what he said. It's the truth.
Well, Miss Lane might very well have fallen asleep from nervous exhaustion. Go on, Joe.
Okay. Well, I drive a couple of miles on a parkway, and I'm just passing a golf course when I hear a horn. And I see a big black funeral hearse coming up in a rear vision mirror. I pull over a little to let it go by. And...
here's where it gets good, Inspector.
Let him talk, Healy.
Yeah. So like I say, I start to pull over, and here comes this funeral hearse up from behind, and it's really traveling.
Mm-hmm.
When it gets up alongside my cab, it jams on its brakes and starts crowding me over. I yell and give him my horn, but it keeps crowding me. I got to get right up on the curb or stop, or I'm going to get folded up like an accordion.
Oh, what was the big idea? Why'd he crowd you?
Well, you're here, buddy. When I start remembering this part, I get the shakes.
Ah, baloney.
Hey, make this guy lay off me, will you?
Stop it, Healy. Go on.
Yeah. Well, I stop up against the curb, and a tall, skinny guy dressed all in black with a long tail coat and a high silk hat gets out of the front seat of the hearse and comes over to the cab. Right away, I start to feel funny. I get chills running up and down my back. He's a tall guy, dressed all in black, like I said, but his face is kind of yellow-white, like one of them guys gets their last ride in his hearse. His eyes, I never seen eyes like his before. Big and black and dead with blue shadows under them. I kept looking at his eyes, even when he started talking and waving his hands. Long, skinny hands like a skeleton.
Oh, jeepers.
Go ahead.
Well, this guy comes over to the cab, and when he talks, his voice gives me the creeps for sure. Sounds like it's coming out of a grave.
I beg your pardon, but I seem to be lost. I wonder if you could direct me to the Pleasant Valley Cemetery.
The what?
The Pleasant Valley Cemetery. Surely you know what a cemetery is?
Yeah, sure, but I never heard of that one.
How strange.
Look, mister, I gotta be going. If you'll get your hearse out of the way,
I must find the cemetery before dark. I simply must. I wonder if the young lady in the back seat can help me.
No, she can't help you. Look, mister,
Is she dead?
Dead? No, she's just sleeping.
Are you sure?
Yeah, of course she's sleeping.
She may be dead. Why don't you look and see?
I remember turning around to look at the dame when he said that, and that's all I remember, until this dick here woke me up. The dame was gone, and so was the guy in his hearse.
Sleeping lizards.
Ever hear a yarn like that before, Inspector?
No, and I don't believe it.
It's the truth. Sir, help me, it's the truth.
Come on. Give it to her straight.
I think he is giving it to us straight, Healy.
Thanks, mister.
Now, look here, Ken.
Just a moment, Inspector. What I want to know at the moment is far more important. Where is this Pleasant Valley Cemetery?
Never heard of it.
Yeah, me neither.
Well, you should have some sort of a directory of places like that.
I have. Right here on the shelf.
Oh, good.
Here we are. Now, let's see. Cemeteries. Oh, here we are. KLMNOP. Clam Valley, Pineville, Pine Manor. Just as I thought.
Where is it, Inspector?
There is no Pleasant Valley Cemetery.
What?
And what's more, there never was one.
Shifting uneasily, the nervous, sweating taxicab driver gulps and turns pale. Is he lying? Well, we'll be back in a moment for a startling surprise. But first, here again is your announcer.
Say, gang, do you know what your mother would like to give you for breakfast these wintry days? A heaping bowl of sunshine. Yes, sir, she knows the important effect of sunshine in helping you build strong bones and teeth. So one of the next best things is Kellogg's Pep, because you get the vitamin D effect of sunshine in this super delicious whole wheat flake cereal. Why, Pep has it all over sun-ripened whole wheat in vitamin D. Of course, you like Pep for breakfast because it's a doggone golden and crisp and good tasting. And because that's how you get those exciting comic buttons all the gang's collecting these days. Aren't they swell fun? You really feel like strutting around when you wear your comic buttons pinned on your jacket or your dress or cap. They're colored bright as anything, so the pictures of your favorite funny paper characters stand out against the white enamel background. Like Moon Mullins, for instance, with his big black cigar, or Superman himself, red cape of flying in the wind. And whenever you get a duplicate, it's even more fun to trade with your pals. But remember, there's only one way you can get these comic buttons. You don't send in any money, not even a box stop, and you can't buy them anywhere. They come only as prizes in packages of Kellogg's Pep. So get busy, gang. Ask Mom to get you some P.E.P. Pep, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now, back to the adventures of Superman.
2 hours have passed since Joe Ross, the taxicab driver, recounted his weird and almost unbelievable story at police headquarters. Jimmy Olsen is now back at home, having left Kent at headquarters. As we join him, he is telling his mother about the strange disappearance of Lois Lane.
And according to the cab driver, the first time he knew the hearse and Miss Lane were gone was when the detective woke him up.
Why, I don't believe a word of it. Do you, Jimmy?
Well, I don't know, Mom. First, Mr. Kent said he did. Then when Inspector Henderson couldn't find the name of the cemetery in a directory he had, well, even Mr. Kent's kind of on the fence.
And in the meantime, nobody knows where poor Miss Lane is.
No.
Oh, that's a pity. She's such a nice, sweet girl. Why would anyone want to do her harm?
Well, there are a lot of punks in this world, Mom. A lot of them.
Yes, I suppose so. Well, I think I'll go up to bed, Jimmy. I'm a little tired.
Okay, I'll sit up a little longer. Mr. Kent may call. He said he would if anything broke.
Good night, Jimmy. Don't forget to let the cat out before you come up.
No, I won't. Oh, where is it?
In the kitchen, I think. Good night, Jimmy.
Good night, Mom. Here, kitty, 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 kitty. Come on, kitty. Come on, fella, come on. Come on, up in my lap. Yeah, that's the boy. You don't know it, but you're the cause of all this trouble. Yes, you are. You started everything. If someone hadn't sent you to Miss Lane, everything would have been all right. You like to have your neck rubbed, don't you? Feels good, doesn't it? You know, it's too bad you can't talk. If you could, maybe you'd be able to tell us a few things.
You're in danger, Jim.
Who said that?
Beware of Perry White.
Who's talking?
He'll do to you what he did to Lois Lane.
Leaping lizards. It's the cat.
Rooted to the chair, Jimmy stares in frozen, wide-eyed fear at the Siamese cat, which, curled up on his lap, looks up at him out of its strange blue eyes. Did Jimmy actually hear human speech coming out of the cat's mouth? The mystery of the talking cat is getting more mysterious by the moment, and a little spine-chilling, too. So don't miss a single word of the thrilling story from now on. Tune in on Monday, same time, same station, and follow Superman's latest adventure, The Mystery of the Talking Cat. Be sure to listen to The Adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Fellows and girls, be sure to follow the adventures of Superman. Brought to you every day, Monday through Friday. Same time, same station, by the grand old Kellogg Company of Battle Creek. And for other thrilling adventures of Superman, see your local newspaper. Superman is also a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC publications. Say, gang, you'll get a bang out of this. Kellogg's Variety is back. That's the grand 10-package assortment of 6 swell Kellogg cereals. Makes breakfast more fun than a picnic. Makes it easy for Mom, too. No dishes to wash, thanks to the new Kell Bowl Pack. You can eat right out of it. What's more, these generous packages are great for lunch boxes and outings. So ask Mom to hurry and get Kellogg's Variety at the grocer's her very first chance. And be sure to be with us on Monday for the thrilling adventures of Superman. This is the Mutual Broadcasting.
Unable to speak the language, unable to cope with a gigantic conspiracy which seeks to convince you that you are mad, and you know you are the victim of a plot from which there is no escape.
Escape. Produced and today written by William N. Robeson and carefully contrived to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure.
Today we escape to Paris at the time of the Great Paris Exposition and one of the recurring legends of the 20th century in Alexander Woollcott's version of the story of the Vanishing Lady.
Another cup of tea, Bruce?
No, thank you, my dear. I'll just light up the pipe now and have a look at the Evening Standard.
I'd like another, please, Mother.
All right, Alice. Only one sugar, dear. We must watch our figures, you know.
Oh, what nonsense. A growing girl like Alice needs plenty of sugar.
See, Mother, Daddy approves.
Perhaps. But Mother is still boss.
Yes, Mother.
There's a dear.
Mother,
Yes, dear.
I've been thinking.
Yes, dear.
I've been thinking about my grandparents.
Oh.
I know all about Daddy's parents. How Grandfather Stanley commanded a dreadnought at the Battle of Jutland.
It was not a dreadnought, Alice. It was a heavy cruiser.
Yes, heavy cruiser. He got the VC, and how Grandmother Stanley was a volunteer nurse at Westall Arch when the Zeppelins came over. And I know about your father, too, and how he died in India from his wounds and how gallant he was at the Khyber Pass. But, Mother...
Yes, dear.
You've never told me anything about Grandmother Winship.
Haven't I?
No, and I'd like to know something.
Bruce.
The child's 16. I think it's time she knew.
But, Bruce...
And you'd probably feel better to get it off your chest.
What, Mother? What is it?
Well, my dear, I've never talked about your grandmother because I've always half believed that someday, somehow, she'd come down our garden walk and... Oh, I know it sounds silly. And explain where she's been for the last 20 years.
Why? What happened to her?
I don't know, and I don't suppose I ever will.
Cynthia, darling, if it's going to upset
No,
you...
Bruce, you're quite right. It would be best to get it off my chest, as you put it. As you know, Alice, I was born and brought up in India. And I was about your age when my father was killed in the Khyber campaign. Mother decided to leave India for good and return to her old home in Warwickshire. However, since it was necessary for her to go to Paris to attend to some details of my father's estate, she decided we should leave the P&O boat in Marseille and proceed by train. You may imagine the timidity with which we two unescorted ladies traveled across France, without the slightest knowledge of the language, and without indeed assurance we could find a hotel room in Paris, though we had telegraphed for reservations from Marseille. You see, dear, the Great Paris Exposition had just opened and the city was jammed with visitors from all over the world. You may imagine our relief when we arrived at the Grand Hotel Universel and heard the clerk speak in quite understandable English.
Mademoiselle Winship, welcome, welcome. You will please to sign the register here and here.
You have our reservation.
Oh, indeed, yes. Oh, most fortunate, madame, that you telegraphed. I reserve for you the last room in the house.
Oh, I'm so relieved. Yes, Cynthia. You may as well learn now to sign a register for yourself.
Oh, yes, Mamma. Where do I write?
There in that line.
Oh, yes, I see.
Voila. You are fatigué from your journey, no? I shall have the boy show you to your rooms at once. Chasseur! Chasseur!
Oui, monsieur.
L'appartement 342 pour madame et mademoiselle Winship, tout de suite.
Bien, monsieur.
This is your bagage, madame?
Yes, these 6.
Là, voilà le bagage. Il y a 6 pièces.
Entendu. You'd best carry the little one with the medicine in it.
Yes, Mamma.
Permettez-moi, mademoiselle.
Thank you. I'll take that one. The little red one?
Très bien. This way, ladies. Keep your eye on that porter, Cynthia. I don't trust this Frenchman.
Oh, Mamma. I don't think he'll make off with our things. Oh, here's the lift.
Troisième étage.
Troisième.
Oh, I do wish we could have gone straight on to Southampton.
But you'd only have had to come back across the channel to see the solicitor, Mamma. We really saved time this way.
I suppose I wish we hadn't come to Paris at all. Such a sinister place.
Oh, Mama.
Voilà, le troisième.
This way, ladies, to the right.
Attendez.
C'est bien.
338, 343, 340... Oh, voilà. Entrez, ladies.
Thank you. Oh, what a lovely big room. And look, Mama. French windows. Oh, and the park out there. And that square with the statue.
The ladies desire.
No, thank you. Yeah.
Merci.
Oh, and
thank you,
those
ladies.
beautiful, beautiful bridges. Oh, Mama, it's like something out of a book.
Yes, my dear. That's the trouble with Paris. It's so attractive. But underneath it's evil.
Oh, and Mama, the furniture, the gilt clock, and this lovely marble-top table. Oh, Mama, everything is so French.
I'll be very glad to be on my way to where everything's English by this time tomorrow. Now, come away from that window and help me get into something comfortable. There's a dear.
Yes, Mama, of course.
I don't know when I've been so tired. I just can't seem to catch my...
Mama. Mama, what's the matter? Mama, speak to me. Here, I'll get you up into bed. There. Now let me loosen your corset. Here, Mama, here are the smelling salts. Breathe deeply, darling. Mama. The telephone. I've got to get a doctor. Hello, operator. Will you please send a doctor up to room number... let me see. Number 342.
Pardon? Qu'est-ce que mademoiselle désire?
Will you please send a doctor to room number 342?
Je ne comprends pas. Qu'est-ce que mademoiselle
désire? A doctor, please.
Ah, oui, un docteur. Oui, mademoiselle, tout de suite.
While I waited for the doctor, I did everything I could think of to bring my mother back to consciousness. I massaged her fingers and toes. I put wet cloths on her forehead. I waved the smelling salts under her nose. But she lay silent and white and unmoving, like one dead. Only the quick, shallow movement of her breast assured me she was not. And all the time another anxiety possessed me. What if this doctor could not speak English? How should I tell him the circumstances of Mother's unexpected fainting? How should I understand his instructions for treatment? I'm sure it was not long, although it seemed like an eternity before he arrived, accompanied by the manager of the hotel. And to my great relief, they both spoke English. The doctor felt Mother's pulse, took her temperature, and did the usual things that doctors do. And then he turned to the tail-coated hotel manager.
La jeune femme parle-t-elle français? Pas un mot. Vous en êtes sûr? Tout à fait. Alors, je peux parler à mon aise. Monsieur, ceci, c'est une affaire très sérieuse. N'ayez pas l'air alarmé lorsque je vous mets au courant. Cette femme est atteinte de la peste. La peste? Elle n'a qu'une heure à vivre. Je n'ai pas besoin de vous dire que si ceci se connaît, votre hôtel perdra tous ses clients. Et mon Dieu, pas seulement...
While they talked in this language I couldn't understand, I looked from one face to the other, trying to read from their expressions how serious my mother's illness was. But they were as casual as though they were ordering dinner. And finally I could stand it no longer. Oh, you must tell me. What is the matter with her?
Mademoiselle, your mother is ill, yes. Seriously ill. It is a collapse, due perhaps to the strain of traveling. However, a week or two of absolute rest will work wonders.
Well, we were to go on to England tomorrow.
That would be out of the question, mademoiselle. She cannot be moved for at least several days. Right now, she must have complete rest. The next 24 hours will be critical.
Oh, Mama. Poor Mama.
No, mademoiselle, you must not break down, too. I need your help.
Yes, doctor.
Immediately, I need some medicine. Will you fetch it for me?
Why?
I must not leave your mother for a moment during these critical hours. Here, I will write down this address and a little message to my wife.
Your wife?
Yes. I have the medicine already prepared at home. It will be faster to go there for it than to a pharmacy. There are very few chemists who have the ingredient.
But couldn't you telephone?
Hélas, I have no telephone.
Well, a messenger, perhaps.
Mademoiselle does not know Paris en fête. With the exposition opening, nowhere can you find a reliable messenger. They are all selling souvenirs.
But,
Oh, no, mademoiselle. You will accomplish here and more rapidly yourself.
Here is the address. 24 bis Rue Val-de-Grâce. And here is the message to give to my wife.
But I don't know Paris at all. I'm a total stranger here.
I am sure the manager here will give the necessary instructions to the cabby.
Indeed, I will. Now, if Mademoiselle is ready...
Before I quite knew what was happening, I was seated in a rickety taxicab outside the hotel with the doctor's message clutched in my hand, while the hotel manager gave valuable directions to the cabby.
En plus, vous toucherez un pourboire assez grand pour remplacer cette vieille bagnole avec une belle voiture. Allez au petit part. Prenez la piste la plus circuiteuse et surtout, ne soyez pas de retour en moins de 2 heures. Entendu?
Entendu. Bon. It is arranged, mademoiselle. Jacques is one of our most trusted cabbies. He will get you to the doctor's house and back in safety.
Oh, thank you so much, sir. And you will look after Mother, won't you?
Indeed, I will. Of that, you may be sure.
When we left the hotel, we crossed a huge square with statues around it and turned into a wide avenue which led up a gentle incline, at the top of which was a huge arch. But before long, we turned off to the right into narrower streets. It must have been 20 minutes later when we turned into another wide boulevard and I saw another huge arch up ahead. Or was it the same arch? Driver?
Mademoiselle?
Haven't we passed that arch before?
Regardez, mademoiselle. Voici l'Arc de Triomphe. Là-bas, la Tour Eiffel.
Driver, I don't want a sightseeing tour. I want to go to this address directly. Don't you understand? Now, please, take me there at once.
Eh ben, on fait de son mieux. De la patience, mademoiselle. Paris, c'est une grande ville, voyons.
At last, we turned into a narrow street and pulled up before a grim grey house. The blue enamel sign on the wall read number 24 bis. I jumped out of the cab almost before it stopped, rushed up the 3 stone steps and pulled at the brass bell knob. Oh, hurry. Hurry, hurry, please.
Oui?
Oh, the doctor sent me for some medicine. Here, read this, please.
Retenez cette jeune femme aussi longtemps possible. C'est de la plus grande importance pour l'avenir de Paris et même de la France. Oh, entrez, mademoiselle.
Thank you.
Quand vous ne pouvez plus la faire attendre, donnez-lui une bouteille de pastilles.
The doctor's wife stood there reading and rereading the note as though she didn't understand it. And until I thought I would scream. Please, please hurry. Get me the medicine. It's my mother. She may be dying. I must get back to her. Please hurry.
Asseyez-vous.
She pointed to a chair.
Attendez.
She slowly walked down the hall and closed the door behind her. I waited and waited. And I wondered. Wondered about the time the taxi had taken to get here. About that arch that looked so familiar. And I was torn by the 100 nameless anxieties that torture you when your nearest and dearest is ill. And then I heard something that froze my blood. A telephone. A telephone clearly ringing somewhere in the house. But the doctor had said he had no telephone. That was the reason I must come all this way for the medicine. Oh, no, it couldn't be in this house. It must be next door or across the street. Of course, that's where the sound was coming from.
Allô?
But no. It was the voice of the doctor's wife answering the phone. Oh, no. No, what monstrous plot was this? I felt my scalp crawl with terror. My brain pounded and my head felt as though it would burst. I wanted to scream, to run out of this awful house, to run all the way across Paris to the bedside of my mother.
Voilà, mademoiselle.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Au revoir, mademoiselle.
Now, driver, please, please, in the name of your own mother, hurry back to the hotel as fast as possible, please.
Ben oui. On fait de son mieux, mademoiselle. Roulons.
But my pleading was of no use. Either it was misunderstood or ignored. We crawled across Paris, just as slowly as we had come. And I was certain I saw that same white arch 3 times. But at last we crossed the great square with the statues. And I knew we were close to the hotel. Oh, please, please, hurry.
Zut, on fait de son mieux, mademoiselle, voyons.
Just beyond the great square, we turned up a narrow street which shortly entered a wide circle, in the middle of which was a tall, slender monument. The driver swung around the monument and pulled up before the entrance of the hotel, reached back and opened the door.
Voilà, mademoiselle.
I dropped out of the cab. And then I saw the sign over the entrance. It said, Hotel Ritz. Driver? Driver, you've taken me to the wrong hotel. I'm staying at the Grand Hotel Universal.
Ben non, mademoiselle. Je vous ai pris au Ritz. Je vous dépose au riche.
No, I don't understand what you're saying. Will you please take me to the Grand Hotel Universal?
C'est ici que je vous ai pris en charge et c'est ici que je vous
Oh, you
dépose.
stupid man, can't you understand? My mother is sick. You've taken more than 2 hours to get me to the doctor's house and back. Can't you understand? My mother is sick, perhaps dying.
Les affaires de mademoiselle ne me regardent pas. Donc, si mademoiselle Roland n'a ma vie...
I looked around me. A small group of passers-by had stopped and were listening curiously to the argument. And then they joined in, taking sides. Everywhere I looked was foreign faces. Strangers, enemies. And then, shouldering through the crowd, I saw a bare-headed young man in tweeds, with a pipe clamped in his teeth. And before he had a chance to speak, I knew help had come.
I say, having some trouble.
Oh, thank heavens, you're English.
Right you are. Now, what seems to be the matter?
I told him as rapidly as I could. And he paid the mulish cabby. He popped me into another cab. 5 minutes later, we walked up into the lobby of the Grand Hotel Universal. The manager was behind the desk. My mother, is she all right?
I beg your pardon, mademoiselle.
My mother, Mrs. Winship in 342, is she all right?
There is no Madame Winship in 3242.
What?
342 is occupied by Monsieur Auguste Noailles, a permanent guest.
But don't you remember me? I'm Cynthia Winship. 2 hours ago, you put me into a taxi to go to the doctor's house for some medicine for my mother.
I am afraid that mademoiselle is mistaken. I have never seen her before in my life.
Well, look here, what is this?
Well, listen, I swear to you. It's just as I say. We signed the register less than 3 hours ago. We got in on the train from Marseille.
Well, let's have a look at the register.
Yes. I'll show you I'm in 342. Where is the register?
It is there, mademoiselle. You may see it for yourself. See today's date. 14 guests registered, but I do not see any mademoiselle or Madame Winship. Do you?
No. What have you done with my mother?
Please,
what have you done with my mother? I
mademoiselle,
demand you answer me this
please,
minute.
mademoiselle,
What have you done with...
I should not like to ask you to leave.
Switcher, please. We'll get to the bottom of this.
Perhaps mademoiselle is mistaken. Perhaps she is registered at some other hotel.
No. This is the hotel. The Grand Universal. You were standing there when we arrived. You handed my mother the pen with which she registered. You came to the door with a doctor. You put me in a taxi.
But I assure you, mademoiselle, these are fantastic.
Wait a minute.
That
That bellboy there. He carried our baggage. He'll remember.
Garçon.
Oui, monsieur.
Vous vous souvenez d'avoir porté les bagages de madame en numéro 342 cet après-midi?
Non, monsieur.
There were 6 pieces, don't you remember? You wanted to take them all, and I insisted on carrying the little jewel case. It was a little red one.
Oh, non, mademoiselle. C'est la première fois de ma vie que je vois mademoiselle.
He says he never saw you in his life before.
But this is monstrous. It's impossible. My mother is somewhere in this hotel. What have you done with her? What have you done with her?
Feeling better now, Miss Winship?
A little, thank you.
Care for something else?
No, thank you. Another cup of tea, perhaps.
Certainly. Garçon?
Monsieur?
Une tasse de thé pour mademoiselle.
Tout de suite, monsieur.
I don't know how to thank you, Mr. You realize I don't even know your name?
Oh, it's Bruce. Bruce Stanley.
I'm very glad to meet you, Mr. Stanley.
It's a pleasure, Miss Winship.
Mr. Stanley, you believe me, don't you?
Of course I do, Miss
We did
Winship.
register at that hotel. We were in room 342. Wait, I can even describe the furnishings. There was a big window that went from the ceiling to the floor.
Well, every hotel room in Paris has windows like that, Miss Winship.
Oh, they do?
Yes.
Well, in this room, the draperies were plum-colored, and there was a marble-top table, black marble it was, and a gilt clock it had run down. The hands had stopped, I remember, at 20 minutes past 3. The walls were covered in rose brocade, and the bedspread was a washed-out yellow. Oh, if I could only get into that room, you'd see that I'm not making this up.
Well,
I'm not...
I'm sure you aren't. Perhaps I can find a way to make them let you in the room.
Can you?
Yes. I'm with the embassy, you know, undersecretary sort of thing. I believe the British Empire has enough influence to change the mind of an obstinate Paris innkeeper.
Well, then let's do it. Right away.
Well, I'm afraid the might of Britain can't move that fast. It's past dinner time. But tomorrow we shall see.
Tomorrow? But I must get into that room tonight. I have no money. Nowhere to sleep.
Well, we can do nothing with the people at the hotel. You saw that. We'll just have to be patient until tomorrow. I'm sure I can find a room for you tonight in a pension near the embassy.
You're so very kind. How can I ever thank you, Mr. Stanley?
Well, you might begin by calling me Bruce.
Thank you. Bruce.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Oh.
What is it?
I just thought of something. The doctor.
The doctor?
Yes, the one the hotel manager brought in to look after Mother. I still have his address somewhere here in my purse. Yes, here it is. Now, we must go there immediately. He can tell us about Mother.
Now, let me see. 24 bis Rue Val de Gras. Well, that's not far. Just off Boulevard Raspail near the Luxembourg.
Well, how long would it take to get there by taxi?
Oh, about 10 minutes.
But it took over an hour this afternoon.
Voilà, monsieur. 24 bis, Rue Val de Grâce.
Well, here we are.
Yes, this is the place.
Attendez, mon vieux.
Très bien, monsieur.
The house is dark.
Well, it's quite late.
Well, I don't care. We've got to find out tonight.
Viens là, qui sonne?
Where is he?
There, at the upstairs window. Monsieur le docteur, c'est Mademoiselle Winship. Elle veut vous questionner à propos de sa mère.
Winship? Je ne connais pas Mademoiselle Winship.
He says he doesn't know you.
But he must. He must. Doctor, don't you remember this afternoon? You sent me here to your house for medicine for my mother.
Je ne comprends pas l'anglais.
He says he doesn't understand English.
Oh, the liar. The dreadful liar. He does. He speaks perfect English.
Et vous, jeune homme, je vous conseille de ne pas déranger le repos des gens comme il faut et de vous en aller avant que je n'appelle la police.
I'm sorry, Cynthia.
Oh, Bruce. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? If it hadn't been for Bruce, I'm certain I should have gone out of my mind. He found a room for me at a pension near the embassy, where I spent a sleepless night of anxiety, almost beyond endurance. Bruce called for me at 10:30 the next morning and took me back to the hotel. To my surprise, the attitude of the manager had changed completely.
But of course, mademoiselle may inspect room 342. We are only too glad to convince mademoiselle that her mother is not and never was in the Grand Hotel Universel.
Why,
I personally will escort you to the room. This way, please, to the ascenseur.
Oh, Bruce, that terrible man. That horrible, horrible...
Cynthia, don't let him upset you.
Monsieur, au troisième. Troisième.
Now, remember what I told you last night, Bruce. You'll see. Plum-colored draperies, black marble-top table, rose walls, and a gilt clock with hands stopped at 20 minutes past 3. You'll see.
Yes, Cynthia.
Voilà, le troisième. This way, please. It was room 342 that you wished to see, mademoiselle?
Yes, that's right. Third door to the right.
Parfait.
You see, Bruce? I know where it is.
Yes, my dear.
Here we are. Voilà. Enter, please.
Now, Bruce, you'll see. The yellow bedspread... Oh.
Not quite the room you just described in the elevator, mademoiselle. The drapes are royal blue.
Oh.
A little dusty, I fear. I must have this room renovated. You see, there is no marble top table.
No.
The clock, as you notice, is running. And right on time, it seems. And the walls are not rose bouquet, but yellow-flowered wallpaper. Now, my dear mademoiselle, you see how thoroughly mistaken you are.
No, no, no! They had tried to make me think I was mad. They succeeded. I remembered nothing until I awoke in my aunt's house in England 2 weeks later, thanks to Bruce, who never left my side during those terrible days when my sanity hung in the balance. Well, that's the story, Alice. And that's why I've never been able to talk about your grandmother Winship.
Oh, Mother, how horrible.
Because all these years I've clung to the foolish hope that somehow she'd come back and tell us herself what happened.
You poor dear.
You may as well dispel that hope forever, Cynthia.
What?
Since you've at last brought yourself to discuss your mother's disappearance, I think it's time you knew the true facts.
Bruce.
Your mother died 20 minutes after you left the hotel on that fool's errand for the doctor.
Oh, no.
She died of the bubonic plague. She had caught it in India before she sailed. The doctor recognized the symptoms the moment he examined her. He told the hotel manager in French in your presence. They agreed that the matter must be kept completely secret. If the news leaked out that there was a case of plague in Paris, the city would have been emptied of visitors. The exposition would have been a failure.
Oh, Bruce.
The conspiracy of silence began in the hotel. The bellboy was paid to claim he never saw you. The taxi driver was paid well to take you to the doctor's house by the most roundabout route. The note to the doctor's wife advised her to detain you as long as she could. The taxi driver added his own imaginative touch by returning you to the Ritz instead of the Universal. I shudder to think what might have happened if I hadn't come through the Place Vendôme just then.
But you didn't know?
Not then.
When did you find out?
Next morning. By then the conspiracy had grown to international proportions. The embassy had been advised. If the exposition was a failure, the franc would fall and the pound sterling would be affected, that sort of thing. You know. I knew when we went back to the hotel you would not find your plum drapes and rose-colored walls and black marble-top table.
And you let me go through with it?
What could I do? I was acting under orders. I knew that the hotel had completely fumigated and redecorated the room overnight, and everything was in readiness to repudiate your story. I had to let the last act of that dreadful farce play to its dreadful end.
What did they do with my mother?
Her body was removed from the room less than 30 minutes after you left it. It immediately burned.
Why? Why didn't you tell me all this years ago? Why did you let me go on all this time?
This is the first time you've ever mentioned your mother since then, my dear.
Alice?
Yes, Mother?
There's a new issue of the Tetler in the library. Wouldn't you like to look at it?
But, Mother, I want...
Now, dear, there's a good girl. I want to have a talk with your father.
Escape, produced by William N. Robeson and directed by Norman MacDonald, has brought you The Vanishing Lady by Alexander Woollcott, freely adapted for radio by Mr. Robeson. The part of Cynthia was played by Joan Banks. Bruce was played by Hy Averback. The hotel manager and driver by Ramsey Hill. Musical score was conceived by Cy Fewer with Eddie Dunstetter at the console. Next week...
You are deathly afraid of snakes. And between you and a fortune, between you and escape, you're on the white jaws of a deadly cottonmouth.
Next week, we escape with Irvin S. Cobb's famous story, Snake Doctor. Goodbye, then, until this same time next week, when we again offer you Escape. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Tired of the everyday routine? Ever dream of a life of romantic adventure? Want to get away from it all?
We offer you Escape. Escape, designed to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure.
Tonight, we escape to a lonely schooner sailing through the hot Caribbean night, carrying a fortune and the heedless passions of reckless men, as John and Gwen Bagney tell it in their exciting tale, The Sure Thing.
Before we hear tonight's story, a brief message from the Ford Dealers of America.
Over 140,000 delighted motorists are already driving the new 50 Ford. Here is what Mrs. William M. Kirby of Kansas City, Missouri, who breeds the rare Sealyham and Dandy Denmark Terrier, says about her new Ford.
I think my new Ford station wagon is just wonderful. It has such style and beauty. I use it to transport my terriers, and they love it. And, of course, it doubles as a passenger car as well. It's so comfortable and easy to handle. I've had station wagons before, but this one is the strongest, safest, and best I've ever had.
Yes, we Ford dealers are swamped with comments like that. But don't take anyone's word for this new 50 Ford. Prove it for yourself. Look up your nearest Ford dealer in the classified phone directory. Perhaps you know him personally. He'll arrange a test drive in the 50 Ford. Test drive it for comfort, for power, for safety, for the quietness which is its mark of quality. Test drive it for the new Ford seal, which stamps the 50 Ford as the one fine car in the low price field. Before you buy any car at any price, test drive the 50 Ford at your Ford dealers tomorrow.
And now we invite you to Escape.
This way, senor.
Thank you.
If you would please wait in here in the President's office.
Fine.
You understand, senor, I have not the authority to handle the matter myself.
Yes, of course, I understand.
You see, a bank draft of $2 million, it is a matter of such importance. Senor Jose Perez, the president of the bank, he is the only one.
That's perfectly all right. I'll wait for Senor Perez.
Gracias, senor, gracias.
Wait. Yes, I could wait. I'd come this far, I could afford a few more minutes. It was hard to believe. Just a short while ago, I'd been ship doctor on the SS Martinez, the gilded ferryboat of the Caribbean. And now I sat back in a comfortable chair and went over the whole thing again in my mind, just the way it happened, from the beginning. We had just cleared the Straits of Yucatan on our way to Havana when the 23-word message came that started the whole thing.
That's the same thing, Doc. SOS latitude 23 north, longitude 85 west. Accident case on board schooner Sidon, en route Havana. Urgently need doctor. Can you board us?
That all? No answer as to the type of injury?
No, I don't get it, Doc. She's standing just off the starboard, and they still keep sending the same message.
Lifeboat's ready, Doctor. Coming. Got all your gear? All set. Let's go. As we pulled away from our ship, I could just barely make out the schooner feeling to a wandering current in the growing dusk. She was a 42-footer, and from her high bow, she sloped away neatly in a sweeping sheer line to a trim square stern. The Sidon. The name seemed to fit her. Aloof and aristocratic. As we pulled alongside, a huge, swarthy fellow helped me aboard.
Watch your step. Easy. There you are.
Yeah, thanks. Now, where's the patient?
He's below. What'd you bring the stretcher for?
Who are you?
I'm the owner of Felix Rouge. You can't take him off this boat. He's too weak.
I'll decide that. Come on, Olsen. Coming, Doc. We went below, and in the forward stateroom, I found my patient. An old man. And with him, a girl.
Oh, Doctor, thank heaven you're here. He had an accident. He's terribly... I've been so worried.
Bad shock. Pulse pretty slow.
You're not going to take him away, are you?
Away? No, kid.
Easy now. Have you enough oil aboard to reach Havana if the wind doesn't hold?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. Olsen.
Yeah, Doc?
You go on back. This man is in no condition to be moved.
What about you?
I'll meet the ship in Havana. We ought to be there in some time tomorrow.
Yeah, but the skipper...
I'll take the responsibility.
Okay, you're the doctor.
All right, let's have a look here. Easy now. No, don't try to talk. How long has he been this way?
2 days.
2 days?
Doctor, the wound. I'm afraid that...
Yes, it's badly infected. Who did the surgery on him?
Surgery?
Who probed for the bullet?
Bullet? There was no bullet. He was injured splicing a backstay with a marlin spike.
He was what?
You see, he was carrying the marlin spike in his hand when Felix had to come about. It threw him off balance, and he fell.
I've dug out too many bullets not to recognize the kind of mess they make.
It was a marlin spike.
Yes? Well, you can yell marlin spike all the way to Havana, but it isn't going to change my report.
Report? No bullet.
Marlin's back. Marlin.
Lie back. No, this won't hurt.
What is it?
Just a hypodermic.
No, dope. I don't want it.
But I've got to probe. You can't take it if you're conscious.
No anesthetic. Only brandy.
Doctor, give him the anesthetic.
Oh, no. You'd like that, wouldn't you, Stephanie?
You're out of your mind. Joseph, I just want to save you the pain and the doctor.
Get him the brandy.
But, Doctor...
It's his body. If that's what he wants, that's the way you'll have to have it. Now get the brandy.
Oh, thank you. And, Doctor...
Yes?
Send Stephanie away. Don't want her around me.
She went away, but she didn't like it. And I got to work. For the next couple of hours, I was pretty busy. It was well after 10 o'clock when I felt it was safe to leave the old man and go up on deck to catch a smoke. Halfway up the companionway, I ran into Felix on his way down.
Well, Doc, how's the old boy? Is he going to kick off?
I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I think he's going to be all right.
You think? Or do you know?
I'm only a doctor. I've done everything I can for him. Hey, wait a minute. Where are you going?
I want to see him. I got to talk to him.
I wouldn't advise him.
But since when are you giving the orders around here?
Since I came aboard. I don't want him disturbed. He needs to rest.
Oh? You got any objections if I get myself a cup of coffee?
No. So long as you stay away from my patient.
Oh, I didn't hear you come up.
You handle the wheel like an old salt.
Oh, I don't know much about it. I just do what Felix tells me. How's Joseph? You've been down there such a long time, I thought that maybe...
That he died?
That's a horrible thing to say. Of course not.
Who is Joseph? Your husband?
No, I'm his secretary.
Oh. Then this is a business trip.
In a way. Doctor, what are you getting at?
Did you shoot him?
Why would I shoot him and then call for a doctor out here in the middle of the ocean?
I don't know. And after tomorrow, I won't care. You realize, of course, that my report to the authorities in Havana will be according to my own findings.
I suppose so. I don't imagine that there's any way of changing your mind. Is there, Doctor?
This is a beautiful schooner. Belong to your boss?
Yes.
I wonder... You mind if I take the wheel for a while? It's been a long time.
Oh, you know how to sail?
Used to, back in Maine.
All right. Go ahead.
Oh, feels good. She sure handles like a dream. Just as I thought.
What's wrong, Doctor?
Look at that binnacle. We're not headed for Havana. We're headed in the opposite direction. The Sidon was racing along with sails full, but she wasn't sailing due east to Havana. The compass said she was sailing southwest, away from Havana as fast as wind and sail could take her. I laid her on the starboard tack and started to bring her about. The sails bellied out, catching the wind that shifted across the bow. And then, as they started to fill away, the mainmast boom swung over. Just as I ducked to avoid it, a shot rang out. I put up my hand to steady myself against the main boom, and there in the wood, right where my head would have been if I hadn't ducked, was the bullet. Across the deck, silhouetted in the light the companionway, stood Felix, polishing his gun with a handkerchief.
You shouldn't pack, Doctor, when a man's cleaning his gun.
Cleaning your gun in the dark in the middle of the night?
Yeah, I suppose it is dangerous. I see you don't like our course.
I was under the impression this craft was bound for Havana.
That's right, Doc, we are.
Then why are we sailing southwest?
Southwest? Well, that's a woman for you. You can't trust her behind the wheel of a car, and no better behind the wheel of a boat.
Oh, no, Felix. You don't blame me for that. I don't know a thing about it, of course. I did what you told me.
Now, why didn't you do it right?
If I'm so incompetent, maybe you'd better handle it yourself.
Maybe I will.
I didn't know what this game was. The lie, marlin spike, nocturnal gun cleaning, change of course. But one thing was certain. I intended to get to Havana if it was the last thing I ever did. And to make sure it wasn't the last thing, this was one night I wouldn't sleep. I went down to the old man's stateroom where I'd left my bag to get some Benzedrine. While I was there, I checked on him. He was sleeping quietly. He wouldn't need me. I opened the bag, took the tablets, and suddenly my hand stopped in midair. My hypodermic needle, loaded with the anesthetic that Joseph had refused, was gone. In just a moment, we will return to Escape. But first, a message from the Ford dealers of America. Already, more than 140,000 new owners know that the 1950 Ford is something really special. We Ford dealers know it. We want you to know it, too. That's why we invite you to test the 50 Ford yourself. From the moment you get behind the wheel, you'll see and feel quality. A finger's touch brings the great new V8 engine quietly to life, no matter how cold the weather. Before you've driven a block, you'll experience the joy of that flashing V8 acceleration and power. You'll know the quietness of quality in the motor and the sound-conditioned body. Your first touch of the brakes, the largest in the low-price field, brings a new feeling of safety and security. And try the worst roads you know. See how the midship ride gives you the comfort and roadability of America's most expensive cars. Any Ford dealer will be delighted to arrange a test drive. If you don't know him personally, he's listed in the classified phone book. Call him tomorrow. Before you buy any car at any price, test drive the 50 Ford. It will open your eyes. And now we return you to the second act of Escape.
Can't you sleep? Are you still worried about the course? See, we're sailing due east.
Very commendable. Mind if I take the wheel a while?
No, I don't mind at all. Keep her due east, Doc. I want to get to Havana.
I watched his truculent board back as he moved across the deck and disappeared below. The moon was as bright as day and as reassuring. And then the sail swung out, covering it, throwing the deck into blackness. That's why I didn't realize at first anyone was approaching until I saw the glow of the cigarette. I tensed myself. My hand clutched at something in the cockpit. It was a wrench. The cigarette moved closer. I waited. The sail bellowed back, and I saw her, full in the moonlight.
I have to talk to you.
Go ahead. Talk.
I'm afraid I haven't been very honest with you.
I'm afraid you haven't.
I lied to you, and I realize now how foolish it was, but... Doctor, I'm afraid of Felix.
Are you trying to tell me it was Felix who shot the old man?
Yes, and he made me lie about it.
Like you lied about the course.
You'll never get to Havana. He's letting you think that you're going there now, but he'll figure out something.
I'm sure he will. If that target practice a few moments ago was any sample.
Oh, he wasn't trying to kill you. Felix wouldn't kill you now, not as long as Joseph needs you. I mean...
Well, you're not making sense again. Felix wants me to keep Joseph alive, and yet Felix shot Joseph?
It was just a fit of anger, an argument. Felix has a terrible temper. Why, he'd be a fool to kill Joseph.
Well, what makes Joseph so valuable? Well?
I suppose I should tell you all of it.
It might be a good idea.
I told you the truth about one thing, at least. I am his secretary. Only his name isn't just Joseph. It's Joseph Ingram.
Ingram? No wonder his face was familiar. He's the big aviation tycoon. But Ingram was killed 2 weeks ago. I read about it in the papers. A transcontinental airliner crashed into a mountain.
That's the luck of Joseph Ingram. We were on our way to Washington. He'd been subpoenaed to have his war contract investigated. He was guilty of sin, and the public was really worked up about it. He was a cinch to be indicted. And his wife, who'd put up with his selfishness and greed through 20 years of marriage, couldn't take it anymore and left him.
But
we had got off the plane at Albuquerque to answer a wire from his attorney.
But the radio and newspapers obituaried him to death.
I know. That's how things happen for him. Apparently, there was just no record of us leaving the plane, and they only found half of the survivors. Some of those they couldn't identify.
Go on.
Well, when Joseph realized that he was officially dead, he saw the way out. He'd been looking desperately for a chance to disappear, and now he had it. He phoned Felix in Florida to have the sit-in ready, and we took a train down and boarded her there.
I see.
Well, why do you think I'm on this boat? Do you think I wanted to come? Do you think I wanted to leave my whole life behind? I was forced to come. I was the only one who knew that Joseph was still alive. And now you know.
What about Felix?
Felix is Joseph's handyman, so to speak, and Joseph owns Felix, body and soul, just like he owns everyone who works for him.
And you?
I saw a chance to go further with Joseph than with any other man.
Then maybe the needle isn't meant for Joseph.
Needle? What needle?
A hypodermic needle loaded with anesthetic. It's missing from my bag. And it looks now like it's meant for you.
Oh, no. Oh, no, he can't. He wouldn't.
I'm afraid we'll have to be more realistic.
We?
If you'll forgive the pun. I'm afraid we're both in the same boat. There was desperation in her face. I felt sorry for her. She was in this mess up to her neck and she was afraid. And yet it was good having her beside me there in the cockpit. It was pleasant to be with her. Just the two of us. The moon and the sea. Well, anyway, the hypodermic needle was the farthest thing from my mind when I took her in my arms. And then it happened. I felt the sting of it pierce my flesh. Oh, the needle you...
What are you talking about?
The needle you stuck me with.
Needle? Oh, I'm sorry. It was just my brooch. It's always coming up.
Brooch? Oh, I thought that...
Oh, silly. Here. Fasten it for me, will you, please?
Yes, of course.
Why, you're shaking.
It's that missing hypodermic. It has me rattled. I've got to get it back.
You'll get it back.
Yes, but when? How?
Right now, Doctor. Like this.
She used the needle deftly. In one motion, plunged it in my arm. I tried to struggle to my feet. Her face was mocking me. I grabbed for her, but the drug was warm and deadening. And after a blurred moment, I was gone. I could hear them from a long ways off. They came through slowly, and I lay there listening.
I only did what you told me. You're the one who bundled it.
It's a good thing I...
They were both standing over me, working on me, doing everything they could to bring me
trouble to
through.
use that needle. Now you've spoiled everything. Why did you have to rush things?
You want to know what the money is, don't you?
Well, you haven't found out, and now maybe you won't. If you'd only left Joseph alone, but no, you couldn't wait. As soon as the doctor was unconscious, you had to work him over. If Joseph dies now, we'll never find out where he hid it.
It's on this boat, I know that.
Oh, you
And I didn't
know.
hurt him, I just pushed him around a little.
Oh, that stupid temper of yours, that awful impatience. You'd think you could have waited for $2 million.
$2 million. Now it began to make some sense. Now everything made sense. As long as Joseph needed a doctor and wouldn't tell where the money was, we both lived. But if I couldn't keep him alive...
Get on your feet. Doc! Come on, Doc, up on your feet.
Feel it, CD.
Since when are you getting so touchy? Come on!
All right. I'm on my feet.
Welcome back, Doc. Now get below. The old man needs you. He's had a relapse. Stephanie, take the wheel. I said get below, Doc.
I'm not in the mood to take orders.
Maybe this will put you in a mood.
He creased my chin with a short jab. My knees buckled. I swung at him and missed. I saw another one coming. This time I ducked and connected with a roundhouse on the side of his head that sent him reeling along the wet, narrow deck. I started after him. Just as the boat came about violently, heeling over with a lee rail under. I wildly grabbed the guy line just in time to see Felix fall backwards into the sea. I whirled around. The girl was on it, spinning the wheel like crazy. I dashed back to the cockpit, tried to grab it away from her. She fought me like a tiger, but I finally pushed her off, righted the boat, and brought her about. But Felix was nowhere in sight. We tacked around, searching for him, but it was useless.
It was an accident.
He's gone. You killed him.
You ought to be glad he's gone.
Why?
Well, it was either you or him.
Yes, your concern touches me.
Besides, we don't need him, don't you see? You know how to handle a boat and you're a doctor. You could keep Joseph alive until we make him talk. And when we find out where his money is, we can get rid of him.
And sail away into the sunset,
That's
huh?
right. Just you and me.
Yeah? No, thanks. I'll play the original hand out in Havana.
I don't think so, Doctor. I'm setting the course now. And if you're interested, I'm a much better shot than Felix. I won't hit the boom.
The gun glittered in the moonlight. and she was smiling at me. And then I wasn't looking at her, but beyond her. First, I wasn't sure. I just sensed the movement. And then I saw him. Joseph Ingram, barefooted and in pajamas, pulling himself painfully up the companionway, forcing his body to make the effort.
Joseph! You wanted too much, Stephanie. My money and Felix's youth.
Felix is gone. He had an accident.
Like mine, I suppose. If only you hadn't been so greedy. If only you'd waited, you'd have gotten your share.
Joseph, you're sick.
You were such a little fool, Stephanie. In the heel of my shoe, in my cabin, is a draft on the National Bank of Venezuela for $2 million. Payable to bearer.
So that's where it is. Oh. Thank you, Joseph. That's very generous of you.
I wouldn't have believed it if I hadn't been watching. A bullet in the stomach, yet it kept coming at her, lumbering barefooted across the deck like a wounded bear in blue silk pajamas.
So easy.
She backed away from him, emptying her gun into him. But he kept coming.
Not so easy!
No, Joseph!
She was at the edge of the deck as he collapsed against her, his heavy arms and a death grip around her like a cartwheel. They spun together over the side into the inky blackness of the sea. $2 billion in the heel of a shoe. It was in the heel of the shoe, all right. I went below and found it. Just a piece of paper that 3 people had died over. $2 million. Certified backwards and forwards. Payable to bearer. In just a few hours, it would be daylight. I could be in Havana by noon. Back to the Martina. Back to the dispensary. Back to the endless round of seasick pills, hangover remedies, and... when I'm lucky, maybe a sprained ankle. Or Venezuela. The choice was simple. There was no risk at all. It was a cinch. It was a sure thing. It was payable to bear.
Good afternoon, senor. Sorry I have kept you waiting. You presented this bank draft for payment, senor?
Yes. Are you, Senor Perez?
That is right. I am president of the bank. This draft, it is quite a large sum.
There's nothing wrong with the draft, is there?
Oh, no, senor. It is in order.
Good.
And you wish us to transfer this money to your bank in the United States?
No. No, as a matter of fact, I wish to open an account here.
Oh, but certainly. Gomez, you will make the arrangement for the senor.
Si, Senor Perez, at once.
And now, there is a lady, a countrywoman of yours, waiting to see you. Please to step this way, senor.
To see me? But who?
Joseph, I've been waiting so long. Senor Perez, is this the man who presented the draft for payment?
Si, senora.
But he isn't. And what has happened to Joseph?
Who?
Joseph Ingram, of course.
Senor Perez, who is this man?
Senora...
I heard the Sidon had come in this morning with only one person aboard, so I rushed right here to the bank. But you've cashed the draft. What have you done? Killed Joseph for it?
Look, madam, I don't know what you're talking about. Just who are you, anyway?
I'm Joseph Ingram's wife.
Mrs. Ingram. Oh, well, then surely you know. He died in that plane crash back in the States.
He didn't, and you know it. Joseph wasn't on that plane. He boarded the Sidon in Florida.
Now, look, madam, all the newspapers...
Joseph and I planned the whole thing. Those highly publicized statements about our divorce were just a cover-up, so nobody would watch or care where I went. He phoned me from Albuquerque when the plane crashed that he'd meet me here with a certified draft.
He was to meet you here.
And I know he would have, if he was still alive. Senor Perez, will you call the police? I accuse this man of murdering my husband.
Si, senora, if you
Call
wish...
him at once. He must not get away.
I will ring for the guard, senora.
Just a minute. I didn't kill him. She killed him.
She?
Stephanie, his secretary.
And where is she?
She's dead. He killed her.
Oh, this doesn't make any sense. Then where is Felix LaRue?
You see, Felix, he was killed when he...
Yes?
You see, it was...
That is the guard, senor, waiting outside the door. Under these circumstances, Venezuelan law requires me to hold up payment on the draft pending investigation.
And, senor, it is my duty to turn you over to the police.
Now, look. Those people, I had nothing to do with their murders.
Have you any proof, senor? Have you any witnesses?
They were staring at me. They didn't believe me. Of course. No one would ever believe me. And it had looked like such a sure thing. I was trapped on a charge of triple murder. Not $2 million, but triple murder payable to bearer.
In just a moment, a word about next week's exciting story of escape. But first, a message from your local Ford dealer. More than 140,000 delighted motorists are already driving the new 50 Ford. Here is what J.B. Spurlock, a salesman, says about his 50 Ford.
Anyone who's on the road as much as I am will sure appreciate the relaxing ride of the 50 Ford. You just take the wheel and sail away for hundreds of miles, and you end up almost as fresh as you were when you started. It's not just the comfortable seats alone that are relaxing. It's the quietness of the Ford engine and the fine riding qualities, too. Actually, it feels and holds the road like a much higher-priced car. I wouldn't trade my 50 Ford for anything anywhere near its price class.
We Ford dealers hear comments like that every day. But you don't have to take anyone's word for it. Just test drive the 50 Ford yourself. Look up your nearest Ford dealer in the classified phone directory. Or perhaps you know him personally. He'll gladly arrange a test drive in the 50 Ford. Then you can test drive it for comfort, for power, for safety, and for quietness. Test drive it for the new Ford seal, which stamps the 50 Ford as the one fine car in the low-price field. Before you buy any car at any price, test drive the 50 Ford at your Ford dealers tomorrow. Escape is produced and directed by William N. Robeson. Tonight we have presented The Sure Thing by John and Gwen Bagney. Featured in the cast were Anthony Ross as the doctor, Jeff Corey as Felix Arouge, Faye Baker as Stephanie, and Ian Wolfe as Joseph Ingram. Also heard were Harry Bartell, Ruth Parrott, Ramsey Hill, and Paul Frees. Special music was arranged and conducted by Del Castillo. Next week...
You are trapped with a lovely but dangerous woman on your own island of paradise. Trapped by overpowering greed for a huge buried treasure. And from the woman and the greed, there is no escape.
Next week, we escape with John and Gwen Bagney's exciting tale of a lost paradise. Treasure Incorporated. Goodbye, then, until this same time next week, when once again we offer you Escape. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System. Stay tuned for Pursuit. 10 p.m. BULOVA, Bulova Watch Time. For her, choose the very latest Lady Bulova, only $42.50. General Omar N. Bradley, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and Harvard University President Dr. James B. Conant discuss a vital educational issue just 30 minutes from now. WCBS AM and FM.
Nestle's Ever-Ready, the instant cocoa. Nestle's Quick for great chocolate milk. And Nestle's chocolate bars now present Space Patrol. High adventure in the wild, vast reaches of space. Missions of daring in the name of interplanetary justice. Travel into the future with Buzz Corey, Commander-in-Chief of the Space Patrol. In today's transcribed Space Patrol adventure, Buzz and Happy are on the planet Saturn, searching for agents from Dargeeda. Investigating an apparently deserted scrap metal yard, Happy glances up at a crane control tower.
The tower looks empty, Commander.
And the men we're after must be in the buildings at the other end of the yard. Come on.
Uh-oh. What's that?
The crane. Someone started the electromagnetic crane.
Commander, look. It's swinging right over our heads. The magnet with the scrap metal hanging from it.
Somebody is in that tower, Hap. If they cut the current, that metal will fall and crush us.
We'll return in just a moment with a thrilling story, The Conquest of Dargeeda.
Space Patrollers, this is Commander Corey. Let me ask you something. When Mom and Dad had their breakfast coffee this morning, did you have a good hot drink? You know, you need a real morning warm-up for all-day power. That's why you should always start the day the Space Patrol way with a big cup of Nestle's Instant Cocoa. It's just loaded with good hot nourishment for real energy. And Nestle's makes the greatest hot cocoa you've ever tasted. It's rich, it's smooth, it's delicious. It's really out of this universe. Now, wait till you see what fast fun it is to fix. And Nestle's Ever Ready is so easy it just about makes itself. Now listen, here's all you do. Just put 1, 2, 3 teaspoons of Nestle's in your cup and add hot water. That's all. Now you're all ready to drink it and get your supply of morning pep. Nestle's Ever Ready is a complete cocoa, too. You add nothing but water because whole milk and sugar are already in it. You ought to see the lineup around here when they sound the Nestle's call. Everybody goes for that delicious Nestle's chocolate flavor. That goes for me, too. Why don't you get the Space Patrol habit? Ask Mom to stock your galley with Nestle's and drink it regularly, the way we do, and you'll have power to spare. That's Nestle's Ever Ready Cocoa in the bright red can.
And now, our Space Patrol adventure, The Conquest of Dargeeda. Shardu, who claims to be the rightful emperor of the remote planet Dargeeda, has sent spies to the solar system to recover a jeweled crown. Commander Corey realizes that the crown, in the possession of a tyrant like Shardu, could cause trouble and bloodshed on Dargeeda and in the United Planets as well. So far, Buzz has been able to outwit Shardu and his agents. In the city of Telgo on Dargeeda, Shardu blames his assistant Vorvane for the failure of his recent attempt to destroy Buzz and Happy.
We had them both right here on Dargeeda, and you let them get away.
But Shardu, the opportunity was priceless, and you bungled it. We could have forced Corey to tell us where he has hidden the crown, and we could have obtained weapons from the United Planets. Weapons that would ensure our victory over the League of the Green Serpent. It's not all my fault, Shardu. You'll just let me explain.
I am not interested in excuses. I have another plan that will ensure my victory over my enemies. And it will not involve us in any more battles with this Commander Corey.
But Shardu, only Corey knows where the crown is hidden.
Listen, Bobby. This is my plan. In a few hours, agents of the League of the Green Serpent will land here on this planet. They will triumphantly announce that they have the crown of Dargeeda.
What do you say?
They will inform their leader that they obtained it from my agents in the United Planets.
But that will put the League in power. They'll destroy us immediately.
Wait. The crown is not done yet. I have had my gemsmith construct a reasonably accurate copy of the real crown. And my agents on the planet Mars have allowed these League agents to take it away from them.
I don't see how we can benefit from this trick.
Picture what will happen. The League agents will arrive here on Dargeeda in triumph. The planet will go mad with joy. When the celebration is at its height, we will step in. We will proclaim the crown a fake. What is more, we will prove it. We will produce ancient documents and pictures. While we can prove that the very jewels in the crown are imitation.
I don't see
Think of the reaction that will set in. The people will turn against the League of the Green Serpent. They will be outraged against the League for using fraud and deceit.
I see. And they'll put us in power. You will be emperor.
Exactly. I will let myself be persuaded to rule Dargeeda.
Just one more thing, Shardu. Even if the League and its leaders are in disgrace, won't they still continue their fight against us?
I have also solved that problem. We need no weapons. I have worked out a method for one of my agents to steal United Planets spaceship loaded with weapons and bring it to Dargeeda.
But if the ship is missing, Corey will suspect us.
Not this time. The ship will disappear as though it met with an accident. Corey will never know the truth.
Right now, Buzz and Happy have blasted off from Terra and are on their way to the planet Saturn, where agents of the League of the Green Serpent are believed to be operating. At this moment, the Terra 5 is approaching the orbit of Jupiter.
Well, Commander, in about 3 hours, we'll have put 2 or 3 more Dargeeda agents out of business.
If each one we capture can lead us to several others. Someday we'll get a couple of key men from each faction. We'll have the whole outfit, Chardoos and the League.
It's sure strange, Commander. The cause of all this is the jeweled crown. A crown that's supposed to bring wisdom to the ruler who wears it.
Yes, and peace, prosperity, and justice to the people of Dargeeda.
Well, they sure won't get that kind of government from Shardoo or the League. The people of Dargeeda are advanced. In some ways, they're smarter than we are. How can they fall for this goofy superstition about a crown?
Well, don't be too quick to call it superstition. Remember, centuries ago we learned that what one country calls superstition may be a scientific fact in another.
Yeah, but putting on a crown or a different kind of hat, well, that isn't going to make a man suddenly wise or good.
Too often it's had the opposite effect in our solar system, at least. But we know nothing about the crown, very little about Dargeeda. The sensible thing to do is withhold judgment.
Code 97, urgent call station. Code 97.
Commander, it's a distress call.
Which is the emergency frequency, huh? Menacori aboard Terra 5 responding to code 97. Come in.
Pilot access door to Commander Corey. I'm in a spacesuit, free fall in sector 7 of the Jupiter orbit.
Get a picture of the signal house. Yes, sir. Go ahead, Vaughn. What happened?
I was aboard the Star Drive cargo ship J-18 with my co-pilot, Taft Decker. We were about to go into Star Drive for Pluto. Something went wrong with our air supply.
Yes, go on.
Decker's got me into a spacesuit. I'm hazy about the rest. I remember an explosion. That was in free fall out in space in the suit.
What about Jeckers?
I don't know. I haven't been able to contact him. He wants his life to take care of me.
I'll notify Jupiter Space Patrol units to search Sector 7 for Jeckers. We'll pick you up, Thorne.
Thanks, Commander. I'm being pulled toward Jupiter. I can't tell what my velocity is, but it's probably increasing at a terrific rate.
I've got a fix on him, sir. He's about 50 degrees away on a 48-degree heading.
Keep your suit transmitter operating, Thorne. We've located you. We'll have you safely aboard in a few minutes.
And on the planet Dargeeda, Shardoo is in a jubilant mood. He's even forgotten his recent outburst of anger at his assistant, Borvain.
My plan is working already, Borvain. We now have weapons at our disposal. Powerful weapons from the United Planet.
So soon? Are they here on Kelvin?
We couldn't land the United Planet ship here in the city without exciting suspicion. But the weapons will be brought here to my headquarters in surface trucks.
And the United Planets won't miss the ship?
No. After Jeckers sabotaged the air supply, he put the pilot in a spacesuit and pushed him out into space. Then he tossed out a space torpedo. The pilot obviously will report that the ship exploded.
And the ship and Jeckers will be listed as destroyed in space. Wonderful.
Listen. The people of the city celebrating.
Then the League agents must have arrived at the fake town.
Yes. And the crowds are carrying them through the streets in triumph.
I don't like it, Sheldon. Once the League leaders are accepted, it might not be so easy to get them out.
Nonsense. Let the crowd cheer. When we expose the crown as a fake, those cheers will turn to angry roars. They'll want revenge against the League.
I hope you're right.
Of course I'm right. The people will demand that I rule Dargeeda. But if the League tries to stop me, I will declare them traitors and destroy them with our new weapons.
In Saturn City, not far from the spaceport, is a junkyard, enclosed by a high fence. Cautiously, Buzz and Happy enter through a small door at the rear of the yard and make their way around the heaps of scrap metal.
The place seems deserted, sir. Maybe the League agents were tipped off.
Yeah, this junkyard is just a front. There wouldn't be much regular activity going on. Hey, see that old building at the other end of the yard?
Yes, sir.
That's the office. Somebody will be in there. Try to take them by surprise.
With all these piles of scrap metal to hide behind, that ought to be easy.
There's a tower in the middle of the yard. Control tower for that big magnetic plane. Nobody's looking at that seriously standing around.
It looks empty to me, sir.
I think so.
I wonder if those Jupiter patrol units have found any trace of Jeckers yet.
I don't think they will. The cargo ship he informed they're on was loaded with weapons and explosives.
Jeckers didn't have a chance.
They'd be a sympathy.
What do you mean, sir?
Thorne said Jeckers got him into a spacesuit. He had that suit checked for fingerprints, particularly on the handle of the faceplate.
Uh-huh.
We found yours, actually, because you helped Thorne out of his suit. On the faceplate, we found other marks, made by human fingers. But there were No prints. No recognizable patterns. Just a smell. Uh-oh. Those jetters must be from Dargeeda. Uh-oh. What's that? The plane. Someone started the electromagnetic plane.
Hey, Commander, look. It's swinging right over our heads. The magnet with the scrap metal hanging from it.
Somebody is in that tower, huh?
Hey, we'd better get out of here quick.
Stop right where you are. Stop or I'll drop this metal on you.
Where's that voice coming from?
I am up in the plane tower, and I can see every move you make. A directional microphone is picking up your voice. Where is the crown of Dargeeda?
We don't know. That's the truth.
Listen, Commander. 10 tons of scrap metal are suspended right over your head. If I cut off the current in the magnet, the metal will fall and crush you. Now, once more, where is the crown of Dargeeda?
We'll return to Space Patrol in just a moment.
I got a secret. I got a secret.
Well, hi, Issa. Gee, I like secrets. You want to tell me yours?
I'll give you a hint. It's about Nestle's Ever-Ready Cocoa.
About Nestle's Cocoa, huh? Well, let me see. Could it be a secret about why it's so delicious? You know, Nestle's Cocoa has an exclusive, rich, true chocolate flavor.
It's just happened to, Phil. Everybody knows that.
Oh, sure. Well, let me see now. Is it about the magic speed of Nestle's? You just put 1, 2, 3 spoonfuls in your cup and add hot water. You see, Nestle's is the only instant cocoa that's complete with whole milk and sugar.
Gee, that's no secret. Around our house, I make Nestle's cocoa by myself every morning. It's a whiz to fix. Guess again.
Well, if it isn't about Nestle's delicious flavor or its incredible speed, then it must have something to do with its goodness. Because Nestle's cocoa is complete with rich, whole milk and sugar, so it has plenty of power built right in. It's just the thing every boy and girl needs to start the day. Is that your secret?
Gosh, Captain Two-Felt, you'll never guess it. I suppose I'll have to tell you after all.
Well, Issa, don't you keep that a secret. If you're giving a party with Nestle's Ever-Ready Cocoa, let's invite the whole Space Patrol gang, because everybody loves Nestle.
And it's no secret that you can get Nestle's cocoa in the big red can at your grocer's. Come on, let's go. We're having Nestle. We're having Nestle.
And now, back to our Space Patrol adventure, the Conquest of Dargeeda. Commander Corey has learned that agents from the League of the Green Serpent are using a scrap metal yard in Saturn City as a base of operations. Buzz and Happy plan to approach the office shack at the end of the yard by walking between stacks of pressed scrap metal. Suddenly, machinery grinds into action, and a huge crane swings a giant electromagnet over their heads. Clinging to the magnet is a mass of scrap iron. An amplified voice from the crane control tower roars an insistent demand.
Where is the crown of Dargeeda?
I told you, we don't know.
Commander, the Space Patrol message is coming through. If you aren't ready to talk by the time I finish with the call, I will bury you under the metal.
Can you speak with the run for it while he's busy with the space account?
What would happen?
We tell him that the name of the person who hid the crown is in the secret files at Terra headquarters. Do you think he'd let us go? No, I think he'd smash us and give the information to other agents.
Commander, I've got good news for you and for me. The crown of Dargeeda has been recovered.
Huh? Why, that's impossible.
Where is the crown?
Where it belongs, on Dargeeda. That message was from our leader's headquarters. The League of the Green Serpents now rules Dargeeda. You are free to go.
Hear that, sir? Come on, let's get out of here.
One moment.
We're waiting.
I was ordered to spare your lives on one condition.
What is it?
That you give me and the other agents a chance to leave your solar system without interference.
How can I be sure they're all gone?
We came here only to get the crown. The new emperor told me here wants no trouble with your powerful United Planet. What is your answer?
Tell your Emperor his agents have 24 hours to clear out.
Thank you. That is ample time. For myself, I ask you to stay where you are for 15 minutes to permit me to get away from the yard. Do you agree?
Yes.
As a gesture of good faith, I'll move the magnet that has been hanging over your head.
Oh, am I glad we weren't under that.
There's something strange about this thing. Well, we'll wait 15 minutes and get to the spaceport.
Half an hour later, Buzz and Happy board the Terra 5 at the Saturn City spaceport.
I don't get it, Commander. There's only one way that Dargeeda agents could have found that crown, and that's to find the man who hid it. And we don't even know who he is.
How are we going to find out about that crown? After we blast off, I'll contact the secret document section and have them check that coded envelope.
And see if the crown is still hidden?
Right. Ready for blast off, Hat. Close port.
Fire jets. Up, chip and away.
Around Shardoo's headquarters in the capital city of Dargeeda, guards stand alert, armed with weapons never before seen on that planet. Shardoo gazes out the window of his office, smiling smugly at the scene below. As the door opens, he turns.
You rang for me, Shardoo? Yes, Burbane. I am sending you on a special mission to the United Planets. You will blast off immediately.
But Shardoo, if the situation's so critical here on Dargeeda.
Critical? The situation is perfect. Didn't you hear the latest news report?
Yes, that's what I mean. Your charge that Talmir is wearing a fake crown is certain to stir up trouble.
For Talmir, but not for us.
And will the people believe the truth? Won't they accept the new crown and Talmir as emperor?
Come here. Look down there in the street.
It's a mob of people, but they've been parading around ever since Talmir's agents arrived with the crown.
I am going to open the window. Listen to that. Does that sound like the tears of loyal subjects?
It's frightening.
Frightening only to the false emperor.
But suppose they get out of hand.
I'll take care of them. You blast off for the United Planets and keep an eye on Commander Corey.
Why bother with Corey? No.
The latest news from the United Planets is that the League agents have been recalled to Dargeeda. The Space Patrol has agreed to a 24-hour truce.
Does the truce include your agent, Shardoo?
No, not ours. But Corey is probably puzzled about the report that the crown is back on Dargeeda. Perhaps, Borbane, he will lead us to the real thing. Now go.
Contacting the secret document section at Terra headquarters, Commander Corey cuts in a scrambler circuit on his ship's spaceophone, thus foiling any attempt to intercept the message. A clerk removes the carefully coded document from the files and relays certain information to Buzz. Right now, several hours later, Buzz and Happy are in the home of Roger Kirkland in Venus City, searching the wall of the spacious library for a secret panel.
Kirkland said it was midway between two large pictures.
Oh, it was sure nice of him to let us come and snoop around when he's home all by ourselves.
Busy at his office. Besides, I have a feeling he'd rather not know any more about the plan than he does. Should be right about time.
That's it, sir. Oh, you'd never know there was a panel there.
Keep your fingers crossed. Worry about little Kitty.
Open up. There it is.
So this is what Caravan Crown.
Crown of Dargeeda. That sure is beautiful. Commander, what about that report from Dargeeda then? If they've got a crown there, it must be a fake.
Yes, sir.
Then what are we going to do with this one? Keep it?
No. Going to send it back to Dargeeda where it belongs.
Send it back? How?
Talmir, the head of the League of the Green Serpent, is now emperor. We have one of his agents, Pleto, in custody on Terra. To release him and send him back to the crown.
Stand where you are and get your hands up.
Borbane, One of Chardou's agents.
Just stand there with your hands raised, both of you. In a few seconds, I'll have you under control with my sight force. Then I can put this gun away.
You can put it away now. Take the crown. We're going to return it anyway.
But not to the right person.
Talmir is emperor, isn't he?
Huh. Only for a few hours. And only by the clever intrigue of Chardou. By now, Talmir has probably been assassinated by his outraged subjects. Come. You are returning with me to Dargeeda and Chardou.
You've got the crown. What does Chardou want with us?
Revenge. Come, gentlemen, we mustn't keep the Emperor waiting.
Under the influence of the sight force, the powerful brain energy produced by Borvain's mind, Buzz and Happy accompany the Dargeeda agents of the Terra 5. Spaceborne from Venus, the ship goes into star drive for Dargeeda. Right now, with Borvain still guarding them, Buzz and Happy stand before Chardou in his headquarters on Dargeeda.
I am well pleased, Borvain.
Thank you, Chardou. Here is your crown.
Place it on the table so I can admire it.
Yes, Your Excellency.
Now, about our prisoners. You have caused me considerable trouble, Commander Corey.
You'll have more trouble if you don't let us return the crown.
My agents have already faked one possible disaster in your solar system. Your disappearance will be explained by another.
By fake disaster, do you mean injectors and a cargo of weapons and explosives?
Yes, Cadet. Those weapons are now being carried by my guards, and they may be used on Talmir and his followers.
And what do you intend to do with us?
My first official act as Emperor of Dargeeda will be to execute you.
Execute us? Why?
Because you are thieves and spies. Were you not caught with the crown of Dargeeda in your possession?
Well, yeah, but we were going to return it.
But to the impostor Talmir.
How do we know which of you is the rightful emperor?
Obviously, I am. For I have the real crown of Dargeeda. That is the age-old traditional test.
Well, isn't it also supposed to be a tradition that the crown brings wisdom and justice? A fat lot of wisdom and justice we'll get from you.
My people will learn that what benefits me will benefit Dargeeda. I assure you, when I wear the crown, there will be no complaints from the people.
You're going to rule by fear, is that it?
It is the only way. The people have been taught that the crown confers wisdom and justice on its wearer. As long as they believe that silly superstition, they will automatically think that I am wise and just. Borvain.
Yes, Chardou?
Take the prisoners away and lock them up. I will prepare for their execution.
An hour later, Buzz and Happy are led from a cell into a large room. They are placed against a wall facing a throne resting on a raised platform. Armed guards stand silent at each doorway. Moments pass in utter silence as the space patroller stands staring at the empty throne.
Not that I'm in any rush, but I'm holding up the performance. Chardou is waiting to make a dramatic entrance, I suppose. Where's the time to make a breakthrough? There's a guard at every door. They drop us before we move past them. Uh-oh. Here he comes, walking toward the throne. Borvain carrying the crown. Look at that crown. Somehow it looks more beautiful than the big on Venus. It seems to be glowing. I believe it doesn't have the same type of cells either. I do have the stuff we radiations now. Looks like Borvain is getting ready to speak.
His Highness Chardou, Emperor of Dargeeda.
We are here to execute these two criminals from another world. First, my Prime Minister, Borvain, will place the crown of Dargeeda upon my head.
Hail, Chardou, Emperor of Dargeeda.
It is fitting that my first official act under the crown of Dargeeda is to order the execution of the two thieves who tried to keep the crown from its rightful wearer. Let this be a lesson to all who defy Chardou. Guards, ready your weapons.
Your Highness, something wrong? Something like that is going to kill you.
Your Highness is tired. Shall I give the command to fire?
No. All right now. Guards, lower your weapons. Commander Corey, Cadet Happy, will you step forward, please?
Oh, let's come over here. Up close now.
Your Highness, the execution.
There will be no execution. I am setting these men free.
Commander, did you hear that?
Chardou, I mean, Your Highness, your first act as Emperor.
Silence, Borvain. My first act will be one of justice and of gratitude. It is clear to any fair-minded man that Commander Corey and Cadet Happy have tried to preserve peace in their solar system and in ours.
That's true.
They risk their lives to save us from our own folly. Obey. You will see that they are returned safely to their ship.
Thank you, Chowdhury.
Yeah. I don't know what came over you all of a sudden, but thanks.
I will also return the stolen cargo ship and the weapons. I am sure they will not be needed on Dargeeda. If I can do anything else to make amends for the trouble I've caused, please tell me.
No, Chowdhury. We've got our ships and our freedom. And you've got the crown.
About that crown. The minute you put it on, Chowdhury, you changed. Say, Commander, could that legend be true? Or is it just radiations from Dargeeda's sun acting on the jewels and influencing Chowdhury's mind?
I don't know, Hank. Whatever the explanation is, the crown seems to be right where it belongs.
Yes, sir. And you know something, Chowdhury? On you, it looks good.
An action preview of next week's exciting Space Patrol adventure in just a moment.
What's new?
Nestle's new.
Nestle's what?
Coconut.
Right you are, Hap. Nestle's new coconut bar is the newest idea in chocolate enjoyment. It's rich, it's sweet, it's creamy milk chocolate. Just loaded with fresh toasted coconut. It's so crisp when you bite into it.
And it gets crisper with every bite. Smoking rockets, eating a Nestle's coconut bar is so much fun. Now, I just happen to have one right here in my... Well, maybe it's in this package. Oh, I was sure I had one somewhere.
Now, Hap, you know that's just an excuse to get me to give you a big fresh coconut bar.
Oh, gee, Commander, you can see right through me, can't you?
When it comes to your eating habits, I certainly can. You just can't resist any of Nestle's sensational chocolate bars, and especially the delicious coconut bars.
Yeah?
And we will connect. So here, let's see.
Oh, man. Me for Nestle's coconut bar.
And now, a preview of next week's exciting Space Patrol adventure. A criminal scientist has discovered a method of traveling back through time. He has taken Buzz and Happy back 14 centuries and has left them on a desolate seacoast on the planet Earth.
I just can't realize that we're back in the year 1591.
Well, let's make the best of it. After all, our ancestors did.
Then we're stuck here in the past forever?
Well, Hap, there's one slight chance of getting back.
Yeah? What is it, sir? Hey, I feel strange. Everything's going black. What's that sound?
I don't know. I feel like I'm floating.
Commander! Commander, what's happening to us? Commander! Where are you?
Be with us again next week for the thrilling Space Patrol story, The Time Pirates. Space Patrol, created by Mike Moser, starring Ed Kemmer as Commander Corey and Lynn Osborne as Cadet Happy, was written by Lou Houston, produced and directed by Larry Robertson, executive producer Helen Moser. Other players were Ken Mayer, Norman Jolly, Bela Kovach, Dick Tufel speaking. This week's Space Patrol was brought to you by Nestle's Eveready, the instant cocoa, Nestle's Quick for great chocolate milk, and famous Nestle's chocolate bars. This program is broadcast to our armed forces overseas through the worldwide facilities of the Armed Forces Radio Service. Space Patrol came to you transcribed from Hollywood. This is ABC Radio Network.